Hi everyone. Listen, thanks for joining me. This is one of those days where we gotta have like a more serious conversation than we normally have, right? And it was heart-wrenching to me, and I'm talking about the decision with Roe versus Wade. Um, I've been on several conversations and several panels about this decision, and all of them just had me like thinking overnight, like, oh my God, what is next, right? So, and there's a play of words, right? Because so many people, when it comes to this particular decision, they're like, well, it was never a constitutional right. Well, it was this. Well, it was that. Well, it was this, whatever the case may be. The bottom line was you did have the legal right before they made this decision. If you decided it was something you wanted to do and terminate your pregnancy, you were able to do that. Okay. And now, though, with this particular decision, they put it down back down to the individual states. And now it depends on your state law on whether or not, it will be legal or illegal for you to have a termination of pregnancy. And then to me, this is my opinion. Y'all could talk to me. But to me, Clarence Thomas, who's on the Supreme Court, one of the judges, he added insult to injury because it almost was like he said, listen, look, since y'all made this wrong right in terms of, the abortion laws, he said, why don't we just go ahead and continue, right? He said, why don't we right the wrong of, allowing gay marriages? Why don't we right the wrong of being able to have contraceptives in order to at least before, if you're going to engage in sex, and you can protect yourself ahead of time so you won't even find yourself needing to utilize this particular option. He wants to ban that also. Everybody needs to move out of Louisiana, Alabama, and Georgia. You know what, E? But there are other states that have laws that they're implementing too, and that's the other thing.
Hmm.
Go ahead, Sebastian. Like they was ready for this
Arkansas.
judgment to come down so they could just hit go on their law. That has so many caveats in it that you can find yourself thinking you know the law, but then it will be tricky and you will have broken the law just because you couldn't interpret the law for your state. But go ahead,
And
Sebastian. What do
exactly,
you want
that's
to add?
another thing. There's states who also had laws enacted way before Roe v. Wade that literally said if Roe v. Wade is ever turned down to the states, abortion will be illegal immediately as soon as it's effective. And that's another thing. I think Arkansas, that's how it was. Some
Yeah.
states have dates. Some states have dates as of right now. So if someone's going to get an abortion, those states have dates of when their laws are going to take into effect. You must get it now. Or you need to get it now in your state.
Right. And that's if the person knows, right? And VR Janice, too, I agree with you, and that's why I came on today also. It said you said Jim Crow's laws will eventually be allowed in states
No,
again.
I'm
Right.
not gonna agree with
They
you on
give
that. Gee.
no, but you know what though? They're going backwards. If you allow this, then what is next? You're gonna tell me I can't come outside after 8 o'clock? What's coming down the pipe? And hi E, I added you to the conversation. How are you?
Diva, I'm not happy. I'm sorry. I have to say. I am pissed. What? Wait, I don't know if I can say that. I'm highly upset.
Right.
Can I say a few things?
Of course, of course. That's why we're here. Yes, I'm listening.
These Supreme Court justices should not have this much free range to take back the rights and privileges that we have earned thus far. The When I was listening to the news and I was listening to different people on YouTube on Friday, and some people were suggesting, well, this is what the forefathers would have wanted. Listen, that was so many years ago. Civilization has evolved. Women have evolved. Us as a people, we have recognized the error of our ways. People have grown to be more patient and tolerant. I think that we do this country a extreme disservice when we just go along with the flow. I am more of the Malcolm X mindset. They do something to us, we need to do something to them. And it's not just talking about it, because these people should be fired. They are public servants. They work for us, and when they do things that no longer work for us, they should be removed. These people should have term limits. And really, how I'm feeling, everybody who's over 55 needs to get the hell out of the Senate and the Congress. I'm sick of it. And in order to go forward, we need new blood. Diva, do you know how many people have graduated from college with their master's degrees, their PhDs, can't get jobs? We have people who are qualified who can't even get into the room and get an opportunity to utilize their degrees and make changes in this country, because there's too many old people who want, I mean, and I don't want to make it sound like I'm doing ageism, but come on. Some of these people have been there for 60 years. We don't need to go backwards. We need to go forward. This is a huge mistake. And I'm pissed off about it. And the last point I want to make, because I stopped taking the depot shot because it was causing me weight gain. And also it was making me extremely, for lack of a better word, crabby. I was a nightmare to be around, even to myself. I don't believe that, and I have expressed this to my partner as well. I'm not taking another birth control pill. I'm not taking another birth control shot. If we're doing this together, then you go get a temporary vasectomy. But I'm not putting that chemical into my body. And if we can't get an abortion in case there's a slip up, then baby, guess what? We need the support of the black men on this, because we know they don't like paying child support. We
Come
know
on.
that, because
Come on.
if they did, the judges wouldn't have to put them, they would pay it freely rather than having to be forced. The people at the enforcement office are having the time, baby. Don't pay that child support, and go driving without your license and see what happened to you. I'm just sick of it, but I know you have other people here, so I'm just going to pipe down for a minute. But I am angry.
No, no, listen, let me tell you this. The depot shot is the devil. So I also, in my childbearing years, I was on the depot shot. And it was not too late. I said to myself, yo, this shot is problematic, right? So initially, because listen, when we got to go through our monthly thing every month, it's a little annoying, right? Because you got to make sure you got the right products with you at all times, okay? Then you got to make sure if it's a heavy day, it's so many adjustments you can do. And even
Right.
sometimes when you do all those adjustments, you look down and you're like, oh my God, I leaked through. So, but the chemical of that particular shot, right, that you get every 3 months, it literally stops the process of you having your cycle for those 3 months. Think about that in and of itself, how that process is to cleanse your body, right? It's a cleansing process that is naturally done by the God, whoever you want to believe in. It's a natural cleansing for the woman, and we're stopping it. So everything that has to do with childbearing, it's on the woman's back. It's on
Mhm.
our back. We got to take the contraceptives, okay? We got to inject ourselves with these drugs, right? We got to take the pill, or we got to put those three implants in our arm so it can leak out whatever is leaking out to prevent pregnancy. However, it does it. We got to stick the IUD in us that may get knocked out of place and cause all kind of other problems. But yet you got these men on the board telling us what we're going to do with our uterus and our body. And listen, I am not by any means discounting a life. So I don't want anybody to get that twisted. That is not what I'm saying here. But what I'm saying here is if you're going to put in some laws saying that, you better add some laws to these men that are impregnating these women because the woman is not doing it by herself.
Right.
I'm fired up too.
But one thing, yes, and I want to come behind that because I am pro-choice, and I've never had an abortion, but
Mhm.
I am in my senior year, getting ready to graduate with my master. I mean, not my, this is my last year. I'm getting ready to graduate this summer. My my point with that is, if something were to happen, I have to make the best decision for me. That's nobody else's business to tell
Right.
me that I have to stop what I'm doing and be a mother. And there are so many children in the orphanage right now, in foster care right now, at the state right now. Well, how come no one is going to go pick up those damn kids and go raise them? Why are we trying to bring more kids here and we're not even taking care of adequately the ones that we have? Look at the education system as we know it right now. They're not teaching these kids anything. People are in 11th grade and can't even write their name in cursive. What do you mean? Look at how they read. They're not even reading on the proper grade level.
Exactly.
All high school and middle school is now is just a daycare for teenagers. You send the kid there from 8 a.m. until 4:30, and then go home and play the games. They're not teaching. Okay, and I'm
But
sorry, I just wanted to
you
say
know what
that.
though? Even before we get there, they're so concerned about protecting a life in utero, right? But how about
Yes,
be concerned with protecting a life once they're born too? So
yes.
we just had that whole situation at that Uvalde school, right? And
Mhm.
all of those babies are now gone. Okay, and y'all didn't protect them, so you don't want to remove away a right for me to carry a firearm, but you want to remove away the right of what I do for my body. You
But
want to have the death penalty. You're cool with that, but you're so into life. So what is all the contradictions? But let me let some harder inspiration. Do you want to add to this conversation? Okay, she may not be able to hear us. I don't know. Okay. Lisa, lovable Lisa, what do you want to add?
how you doing, darling? Yes, um, this morning I was talking to my mentor, and we was getting on. She was like, "Lisa, I can understand what you're saying, but she said everything. She believed in the spiritual and God and everything happened. But I'm just saying to everybody else, don't nobody have to write. You know what I'm saying? I am like I told you and Cheryl yesterday. I wish I can tell more of my story, but I can't. You know what I'm saying? Because
Right.
there's other people involved. But I can say this right here. I don't believe in doing it, but I believe though, give a woman her choice to make that decision, not you. The government should stay out of it. And other people, as I always tell people, it's none of your business. Like I love my sister Cheryl. When Cheryl was talking about the woman who had the 7 abortions, and I was like, well, that's true. I mean, that's true, but that's her business and that's her morality between her and her God, not nobody else. Unless she come personally ask you, believe me, I have had cousins to do that. I mean, literally had 7 mental abortions. I'm not, I'm not, I'm not even not for that. That's not even not my characteristic. I don't believe in stuff like that. And I do think that stuff that is dead wrong, but it's none of my business. It's none of my business. It's none of my business.
Right.
Like
So
you interfering with stuff that don't even not mean the government business. Unless they on welfare or taking the government, even they is on welfare food stuff, it's still none of your business.
it's not. And see, here's the thing, right? We pick and choose what we want to set a law to. We
Yeah.
pick and choose how we want to deal with things. And my thing is, right? Yes, everybody's gonna have to answer to their own deeds that they did in life, right? And here's the thing: no matter what. you're not going to change your behavior because you implemented a law. There are plenty of laws, right? And the people still break them, or else the jails would be empty. So if
Yep.
it was a simple way of I'm going to control the behavior by doing the law, then no one would be in jail, right? So
Yeah,
there's
that's
plenty of
true.
people in jail. So because you have this in place, it doesn't mean that all of a sudden these people are going to become responsible,
Hmm.
um, use birth control all the time, and not have this procedure, which you're running the risk of people who are going to be desperate and have their back up against the wall doing something dangerous
Yes.
instead of having it done in a safe and
Yes.
controlled environment.
Yeah, that's what
That's
I
what's
liked
going to
about it. That's
happen.
what I like. That's what I liked about it because you can take and I always say this right here. I said if the girl's under the age of 17, it's the parent responsibility then. It's her and her parents to make that decision together, not nobody else but the parents.
Right.
And
So
that's my thing
someone
of
said, let
this.
me
If
just
you're
read
going to,
this real quick, Lisa. The lady who just said schools are to blame, no ma'am. What about those parents? They blame everything on teachers and schools. And no, you're not. I don't think she was blaming on the schools. I think the go ahead, E, are you still there if you want to explain what you were saying and that?
I was not saying that schools are to blame. I'm saying we have children who attend school and we're not adequately teaching them. A part of being pro life is being pro education, being
Right,
pro empathy. We have other things to concern ourselves with other than reversing Roe versus Wade. My sister is a teacher. She graduated from the University of North Carolina. I
hmm,
was going to be a teacher, but look at how they pay our teachers. There's so many ways that we can look at this system, and there's so many things that we could be fixing rather than undoing something that wasn't bothering anybody. Because if you don't want to get an abortion, you don't have to have one. But if I want to get one, and that's a decision I make between me and my God, I don't have to explain myself to anybody. That's ridiculous.
yes, yes. That's why I
exactly,
said people
exactly.
kind of control, and this is about kind of control people's lives. This is what it is. You kind of control somebody that's like I'm like I have heard so many times ago. When a person's over the age of 18, you cannot control what they do. Not even the parents.
Right.
Well,
So yeah,
unless you paying for their life, unless your parents paying for your lifestyle, then they got a right to tell you what to do.
the new. Right. I agree with you. Right.
You
So
know what I'm
yes,
saying?
E,
But other
yeah,
than that, don't nobody got the right to tell you. And like I explained yesterday on my live yesterday, it's a lot of people out here. If baby, I say anybody who want, I know I heard people who worship worship the devils and the blood and all. They it's people out there do that. Now, if they want to do that, that is their lifestyle, and that's their business. But I know I'm not like that, and I can't tell nobody how to live their lives.
right, exactly. So let me see what this here. It says people are yeah. So you're just saying that I agree with you on this. People are more worried about abortion than they are about the federal minimum wage. The average quarter rent is $2,000. Single people can barely take care of themselves without adding kids. I do agree with you with that, right? So I think part of it, and I'm not a person who's into conspiracy theories, right? But I think this thing that they did is so loaded, right? Out of all the people in the world, and I'm not even going to deal with color for 1 second, out of all the people in the world, women are at the lowest part of the totem pole when it comes to everything, okay? And I'm talking about all women, okay? We're
Hmm.
like the lowest, right? And
Yeah.
so, most recently in this world, a lot of women, they have become more educated, they are starting their own business, so they're pulling their way up by their bootstraps, so to speak, to earn more and to have the credentials to earn more. And when you have that paperwork and those credentials and you are up to get a job against your male counterpart, now they can't give you so much okey doke because it's like, okay, well, he has his master's. Well, so do I. Well, he has experience. Well, so do I. Where a long time ago before, because the woman was at home taking care of the kids and maybe was not able to get all of that education, the fight was harder and it was easier for them to justify not giving us equal pay. So when you reverse this, it's like, okay, y'all want to fight for equal pay? We'll go ahead and pass. Y'all should have this equal pay because, that's up for speaking too. about, transparency with pay and equal pay. So what they want to do now is by implementing this, well, guess what? No matter it, when you get pregnant or if you get pregnant, you're going to have that baby. So what they're trying to do, to me, in my opinion, too, is slow down the rate of progression that females were making. This thing
Mhm.
is loaded. It's loaded.
Yeah.
There
You're
are
right.
too
That's why I
many.
believe. That's why I truly believe. I truly believe that it's kind of
Hmm.
stop us women because us women's on the rise now, and I
Right.
truly believe that.
Yeah. So here, Nessie said there are too many white men in power who make life altering decisions, Clarence Thomas included. We must evaluate our options and candidates and vote. This decision is probably the first of many. Well, they're saying that, right? Because Clarence Thomas wants to right so many wrongs, right? But what kills me about him is, and listen, I don't care who you marry. I don't care who you sleep with. I'm into that is your business. As long as you're not hurting anybody, that is your business. But he has the nerve because he is married to a white woman. And not too long ago, and they just made it legal in 1967. What if someone feels that was a wrong that needs to be right and they reverse it? How would he feel? People kill me when they make decisions and they're cool with making them because it doesn't impact them. If you're going to make a decision about a woman's body, then there should be a ton of women in that room agreeing or disagreeing to whatever decision is going to be made.
And I want to add, if I can,
Yes, of
because I
course.
definitely think voting is important. And if you live in Georgia, like I do, please vote. Camp out. Let's get Stacey Abrams in because she was robbed the last time. But that's a story for another
You
time.
she
When
from
it,
Georgia too. I
yeah,
Georgia, in Georgia too.
all right, girl, make sure you vote because it's coming
And
up.
I am too. Did you
So,
not hear? Did you not hear me yesterday say about Margaret Green Taylor? I voted for her last time, and I'm not voting for her no more. She said she definitely had said on she was on the platform. She showed her said she compared the January 6th rioters to George Floyd.
hmm,
She sure did, and that's why I said, and I put a big old thing on there, and I said, "What is wrong with this woman? You got to figure." That's why I said I'm voting for. I always say I'm not voting for her. One reason why I'm gonna vote for what's his name, Berry, our state secretary, because he fighting for us to keep those votes. He a Republican because he just testified in front of the committee, but he fought us to keep our votes down here.
Well, voting is important, right? And then we're going to have to also get more involved in just the laws and everything that's going on, because they're kind of pushing their way, in my opinion, to just run our lives. Period. Again, I wasn't, I got the vaccine, but then it was like, okay, we got the vaccine, and now you told us we need to get 10 more. It's like, okay, what is enough enough? So now you want to police my uterus. What's next? What's coming down the pipe? I was speaking to a girlfriend and she said next we're gonna have to be back on the back of the bus again. Like what's next?
Can
and
I
see,
jump in here? Can I jump in here real quick?
Of
sure.
course, yeah, absolutely.
Okay. I don't know if y'all know who can see me or I don't know what's going on. This is Heart of Inspiration. Uh, I wanna put this out here, guys, because we have to. Definitely, voting is important.
Mm-hmm.
More important is not falling for the okey doke and the gaslighting.
Mm-hmm.
We cannot sit here just because there's a letter behind a specific person's name
Mm-hmm.
that denotes their party and
Mm-hmm.
act as if we haven't been equally, if not more so, wronged by both sides. Perfect case in point is the vaccine situation. It's okay to say it's my body, my choice when it
Mm-hmm.
comes to this, to my uterus, but it's not okay for people to be potentially forced to uh, use an experimental
Mm-hmm.
drug that, if you're paying attention now and reading all the documentation that is coming out, we're now finding out that there's much more problems and issues with this experimental drug than the benefits.
Mm,
So, and I personally work with people that are having major issues. My point is this: we have allowed the usurping of our free will for decades. And it's all now coming to a head. The roosters are coming home to roost. And it has
mhm,
been done on both sides.
mhm,
While our cities burned, they said we didn't need police.
mm.
Now, I'm not saying police are good. Not all police are bad. Not all police are good.
Right.
But our cities were the ones that were burned. It was our people that were being killed. It was our people's businesses that were being destroyed.
Mhm,
And yet, we're supposed to be okay with that because it's supposed to be, rage and whatnot. My point
mhm,
is just simply this, y'all. I want y'all to think about all of everything you've given away,
mhm.
all the autonomy and all the agency that you've given away over the last few decades. And I'm not trying to make you feel guilty or anything. I just want you to look at it because this is a further attack and assault on our basic free will.
Mhm.
Period. End of conversation. And they're going to continue to do so on both sides because one side will tell you, oh, I'm going to take away your free will because I'm trying to make it better for you. And the other will say, well, oh, it's mask. I'm taking away your free will so you can have more choice. Somewhere in the middle, we got to say we don't believe either one of y'all, and we're gonna have to do this thing over. Now
Yeah.
that's my point.
Yeah. Let me just read what Mo said here, which I do agree with. I'll just say young, scared, and alone, genetic abnormalities, domestic violence, financial hardship. These are all tough life decisions. Termination is not an easy decision. And see, that's
It's
the
not.
majority, right? That's the majority.
Yep.
So when they bring this subject up, they like to act as if they always want to speak about the most negative part and the people that abuse a situation, so to speak, right? If they're having 7, 10, 8, 9, whatever your number is that you feel is just excessive, so they always want to bring up that. But let's bring up these issues right here. Let's bring up how there are doctors that will clearly, after they do an ultrasound and some blood work, that will tell the mother and maybe the father, it does not necessarily mean that these are all single people, right? They will tell a couple, look, this is what your child's life is going to be like if you continue with this pregnancy. And so they put it on the parents to make a decision, and in that case, right, they don't call it an abortion, they call it a medical termination of pregnancy, and they give all these diagnoses behind it so that people can feel better about it. But at the end of the day, is there any difference? So you want to judge the person who makes it for one decision, but then you accept it for the person who makes it on another decision. But now for these particular people where the doctor used to tell them that this is their high level suggestion on how they should proceed with the pregnancy, is that being removed also? And I mentioned this the other day. I think this thing brings about so many problems, right? Because if you have caveats to this rule and this law, what if one of the caveats is if someone violates you, and we're going to use the word violate, if someone violates you, touches you and you did not want them to, for any way, shape, or form, and now you get pregnant, is it going to be okay in that case to go ahead and do a termination of pregnancy? And if that's the case, we do know that unfortunately there are some females that, because they're scared, because they don't want their parents to know, they change the story and say that a person has violated them. And will we get more of these accusations because people are afraid and they want the pregnancy terminated? So there's so many things that can happen as a result of them just on a reckless basis overturning this thing and not weighing out every single twist and turn and consequence that can happen as a result of this, and not putting in the other mechanisms in place to help with this situation. I don't know if anybody wants to chime in.
I agree with you on that. I agree with you on that. This was not thought through, not thought about, not nobody cared. There's a concept in criminal law that says, and our constitution was based on this, that I would rather have 100 criminals go free than one man wrongly accused, innocent man, go to jail.
Mm,
So I don't care if there's 555 women that go get, I don't care if there's 5,000 women that go get multiple abortions and use it as whatever. But I would rather that than the one woman who has been violated, or the one woman who needs to make a hard decision about because of the health of the child or her, or the one woman that has to make a hard decision like I did too because of my financial situation and I already had to.
mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm,
I was doing everything I was supposed to do. It just happened to fail. I happened to be rather fertile, I guess. So
mm-hmm.
should I be
Mm-mm.
penalized for that? I was
No,
doing what
you
I was
shouldn't.
supposed to
No, you
do.
shouldn't.
No,
Right,
who should be penalized
Rather we
are
had that
right.
ability.
Now,
well,
just
men
simply
should
said,
pay.
and we kind of heard about this the other day too. Like I think it was in your conversation, Heart of Inspiration, that about some 11-year-old who was sexually assaulted, and she got pregnant. I did not get to look up this story myself yet. I need to look into this story. I don't want to speak on it, but I did. Someone else mentioned this story. But to tag into this story a little bit, I will say this. I do believe, and I was trying to find it before I came live today, where there was a situation where the woman actually ended up having the person who violated her baby. And then this person wanted to come back and have rights to the child. I mean, come on now. So I'm going to get violated over and over again? Like, this is crazy.
She should have sent him to meet his maker. That way he wouldn't have been able to come back and ask for any rights. But I want to say the way, because I know it's, when watching this on YouTube, I see a lot of women, a lot of black women, a lot of LGBT folks getting involved and trying to stand up and come up with antidotes to remedy this situation as best we can. We need
Hmm.
black people, we need men involved of all colors to assist with this, to stand up and say this is wrong. And the way that we get men to get involved is penalize them. Because if they have to start paying child support as soon as on the first ultrasound, and then they'll get pissed off enough
You girl,
and
you
want
know
to stay
what?
behind. Because
You
if
know
men
what?
could get if men could get pregnant, there would be it would be drive-through
You
abortion
got that
clinics.
way. You got that
It
way.
it, 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 it it sure would.
There'll be
And you
so
know
many
what?
boys you couldn't count 'em.
You bring up a good point. There was this saying, I don't know, I'm mixing up the words now, but it was almost like mommy always, daddy maybe. So these guys can also too, they could just simply deny the baby in your belly. And it's all good. And then again, you get violated again, right? Because now I gotta go get a DNA test to prove
That's
what you
true.
already know, what you already know. But because you want to play games with me, you want to, again, you kind of want to shame me by saying, okay, how do I know that baby's mine? So you see how they can like kind of run away from responsibility all the time, but the woman is always held left hope with the bag, right? You the one that should be taking this birth control pill every morning or every night or whenever you take it. You the one put this IUD in your body, okay? And God forbid if it slips somewhere and you could pretty much just pass out and die, right? You the one go put these chemicals in your arm, and nobody is really explaining to you when you go in a doctor's office the long-term effects of these particular contraceptives that you use. Some women, when they get off and they want to stop and they get married, some women have so much trouble getting pregnant, and that is a result of
Yeah.
those darn contraceptives. But they don't tell you all of that. You like
Mm-hmm.
it's just crazy.
And someone put in the chat about social services, and that's something I didn't even think about. The our people who work in social services and the burden that they must be going through.
Well, yeah, Miss Gigi said hi. All the result. This will result in a already overburdened social services system. I agree with you. And mental health division. I
Yeah.
wholeheartedly agree with you. If only men could get pregnant, this would be a non-issue. And that's word. That is word.
That's on the word that she telling the truth, because I'm gonna tell you something, baby. And I keep telling people, man, this is not about And I get tired of hearing people. It's about we can't protect the baby. You ain't trying to take no children. You ain't trying to take no baby. If you wanted to protect children, children would be protected in this country. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That mess in the Texas would never happen. Handy Cook would never, Sandy Cook would never happen. Okay. And I'm so, and that for me personally, people talking about the foster care system, I do not believe in the foster, even though, because we don't hear the horrible, I hear horrible things about the foster care system, where parents have, where women have let their husbands or their sons rape these little girls who come up in there, or they don't feed the child, they beating on these children,
Well,
and
see, you
they
know
don't
what,
give a care
Lisa? Right, Lisa,
because they
the
want the
whole thing
money.
is, right? The whole thing is there's a lot broken about the system. And they, instead of them looking at and dissecting and really correcting all the things that are broken, they think they're going to make a law such as overturning this, and it's going to by magic correct every wrong. It will not. You
If
have
I just had
created
a
a
lawyer,
snowball effect, right? This is a snowball effect that
yeah,
is going to impact so many different things. And I want to say that was Miss Gigi, right? Did she say that the social service system, you're going to have an abundance of women needing social services and needing mental health because they're going to feel lost, alone, afraid, not knowing what to do and how to do it. If it was as simple as telling people to stay abstinent and keep your legs closed, come on now. I wish
okay,
it was
yeah.
that simple. I really do.
I'm
And
gonna
see,
say from my point of view, I wish I can afford to get me a lawyer because I was to the United States government because you have French on my privacy. And I just wish I had a law because I just sue the government. Because you taking it too far. You pushing on my rights, my comfort investments and white me to get abortion now when it's none of your business what I
it's not,
do.
yeah. It's not, you know what,
And
E?
I say the words. I mean, that's one. I know this is one person you, but the words of Mama George. This is I control my
My
vagina.
vagina.
I control my vagina. Okay, what goes in or what comes out. Okay, I control it, not
Yeah,
nobody
well,
else.
they're controlling it for us right now. But
Yeah, yeah, I
he said
know
that
that.
Miss Gigi, right? Remote workers need to be
I know,
sure their company
I know
headquarters
she
are
the
not.
wrong person. I know she the wrong person. To you.
But no, it's a good statement. But let me read this, Lisa. So you said, Miss Gigi, right? And remote workers need to be sure their company headquarters are not stationed in these key states. Yes, because that's where your benefits are, right? So that would impact you also. This whole thing is a snowball effect. It's a snowball effect, and I think that unfortunately, we're going to see a lot of the results and the outcomes of what this is actually going to do to a lot of people. But can I tell you this? I think that is going to impact some people they never thought it was going to impact, and then they probably go back to the table and make another decision.
Well, can we have a vote to ban Viagra?
Wait, say that again.
Can we have a vote to ban Viagra? I feel like it's time for some men, some old white men to be affected by this. Let's take a vote
Well,
on Viagra.
well,
Thank
you
you.
know what? You know what? You know what? Hello,
Hello.
hello.
Yep.
Hello. I didn't even think about that. Hello.
Those
Would
old
that
men are
would
not
that be a possible?
impregnating anybody. What? Who them old men impregnating?
No, listen, part of inspiration though, but they are. You see all of those men in Hollywood. I'm only using them because we know of them for a fact, where their wives is in their 20s and they're in their 60s and 70s, and they're
That's
having all
right.
these kids. What is the one? I want to say the one that got in trouble on the set because remember that gun went off.
Alec
Um,
Baldwin.
Alec Baldwin is a prime example, but he's not the only one. That
Alex, what's the Darby's from the Housewives of Potomac? What's Ashley husband's name?
Michael.
Michael.
exactly,
Michael.
exactly, exactly. So no, there. See, that's the other thing with a man, right?
Yeah.
Women, we have our childbearing years. With men, there's last forever. They could be in their 70s and
And still procreate.
and get with somebody and have a baby.
Well, and
Yep.
I understand that. I guess my thing is that if we're going to, how can I put this? Eh, If we're going to, which I think we should, of course, hold the man responsible. The easiest way to hold a man responsible is to not give it to him, and period.
Yeah, if we all go on strike,
We
But
if
we
we all
can't
go
do
on
that
I
strike,
said
because
it last night. We going kitty cat strike. There's a
we go
cooking
on kitty
strike.
cat
There's a
strike.
but
cooking
we
shortage.
can't.
You
I'm gonna
can't
tell
even
you
go
though,
I
get
this
bet
your
you
don't
they,
work
I
in
cooked
my
bet you they
now.
family.
listen then.
This
I
that this
bet
don't
you
work
they
for
listen
me.
then.
No, we
Listen,
can't do that because what one woman won't do, another one
another
will, and they
woman
just
will.
go younger
That's
and younger.
that's her
So
choice.
the best
That's
way
her
to get a
choice.
man, you have to hit them in their pockets, make them pay, because we know for a fact they don't like paying child support. Raise up make it 50% of their net income. I bet you they'll stop ejaculating in everything they see. I bet you they won't.
Y'all. I mean, I'm not sure if y'all are quite aware of this. It's already 20 to 25% in most states. Men are already on child support, whether or not they get to see their child or they're involved in their child's life or they're not. They're either then thrown. That's another excuse to throw a black man in jail. I'm just gonna put it out here. There's another excuse to throw them in jail. So what happens is that now they're in jail. Now they can't work. So now what was the point? So
The
my
point,
the thing the
Wait,
thing the thing
hold on 1 second, guys. Hold on. I dropped the link again in case anybody wants to come up and give their side of the story. Go ahead, continue, Heart of Inspiration. I'm sorry about that.
so my point is that law is that ruling by fear and control. That's not while that's a motivator that we, especially us as black people, we've grown up right. I'm gonna whoop your butt. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. That's still a holdover from how we were treated when we were first either brought here or enslaved here if we were already here.
but heart,
We gotta come up with not, I'm the one that's gonna say the mama role, right? We gotta come up with a much more familial perspective on this situation, because the very people that we want to hit so hard are actually not the people that are at the core problem of all this.
but they
Wait,
won't
let me
stand up though. They won't
go ahead.
stand up with us. Though there are men who are saying good that the decision was reversed because they said then it'll make women have to be accountable. They're not thinking of the ramifications in regards to them. They should be standing alongside with us because if they are, especially black men, if you are more likely prone to, this is another reason to throw your ass in jail, then guess what? You need to be standing along your sisters. They need to be outraged just like with us because the way that you strike a mighty blow, you have to form a mighty fist, and it takes more than one. It takes more than 1,000. It's too many of us to not. No, no, no. These men. I
But
We
get what
should
you're
be
saying,
held
Heart. I just
accountable
have
too.
you been in the
yeah.
manosphere? Have you heard these women? These women. Now you can have your own idea. I don't care, but I do. You
I know.
you sitting up here in this manosphere while these fools are saying basically that they want you barefoot and pregnant in that kitchen, then they expect for your body to bounce back, and you should be all right with them cheating because they're the ones that pay the cost to be the boss. And these fools are sitting up here going, "Yes, honey, I submit to you. I ain't got time for you heifers. Stay over there. You fools over there that's talking about, oh, it's okay, it's all good. We're gonna be more responsible. You're darn right, because I'm not giving you nothing, Nathan.
Okay.
Not a bit,
But wait,
not a snippet
let
of
me hold on, guys.
nothing.
Hold on 1 second. Let me add this to the conversation because this is an important thing. So Nessie wrote years ago, her friend's sister, my friend's sister kept having kids to raise her welfare check. Okay. And unfit, they were taken away each time. A doctor recommended sterilization. Her family agreed, and it was done. So that's a loaded statement you wrote there. And I want to say this, right? Here's the thing when it comes again to the woman, right? You damned if you do, you damned if you don't. So if you laying down and you're getting pregnant, right? And you decide to have your kids, if you happen to have three baby daddies or maybe four, hey, maybe even five, they wanna beat you down for that. But why don't you look at the fact that regardless of how many baby fathers I had, I kept all five of them. I kept those kids, right? So they want to shame you for that. It's like no matter which way you go as a female, they're going to find a way to stick it to us, to shame us, to make us look like, we're the bad guys and we should be more responsible. Why don't you teach the men from birth that they have a responsibility in this situation too, and that they should use a condom and they should have a birth control. Why is it that they got all of this innovation in birth control, but for a man to protect himself, all they got is the condom? For the woman, they got about 97 million different ways of contraceptives that you can use, and it all most of them account to you putting something in your body. Okay, and then they wonder why we moody. They wonder why then when we want to go
Mhm.
have a family, we can't. We need this. We need to go to a fertile doctor. Like it's so much. The whole system is just set up for the woman to always take the burden of everything. Go ahead. Who wants to add?
There was a trial for men to when they were I believe it's still in the works, where they were developing the male birth control pill, and it got postponed and then it restarted again. But initially they had to stop because these ninjas couldn't remember to take their pill every day. So can you imagine, when they are given more responsibility to be able to control childbirth, they won't even remember to take the pill, but you expect us to remember every day and to get our shots on time. You get what I'm saying?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
I understand that because I'm on Morena. I'm on Morena, and plus, like I just have it inside me because before I had decided to go celibate, uh, I was sexual active, but now that I'm celibate, you know what I'm saying. I really don't need it inside me. I think about taking it out. And I said, just in case, Lisa, you might not go celibate no more.
Have it on standby, right? So supposing Cannon gets blackballed like Monique and can't work, if the moms aren't self-sufficient, they could potentially be moms draining the state system. He needs anti-erection.
He needs something. He
That's what
need
I'm talking
Jesus.
about. He
He
needs
need
some other
Buddha.
man.
He need he need he need
Oh my
everything.
God. That was funny. Let me tell you something though, right? She's right. What happens if he gets banned? But why is it okay? Okay, again, why is it okay for him to just be around the world, just slinging and dropping his seed everywhere? And people, in the name of the fact that he has money, people like, oh, it's fine. I don't get it.
It's not him. It's not only him. See, I'm gonna say like, I'm okay. That's a whole,
Mhm.
but it's not him. The only him. These them dumb girls. These them dumb girls. Let me tell you something. I have been around men who had 4 kids, baby, and I was one of them good girls. And I said, well, it's good. He got 4 kids. He's a good man. He will take care of his 4 kids. But on the other hand, I took the responsibility. I took the responsibility because I was on birth control. I make sure, and I told the girl I was dating at the time that I was on birth control, and I said, I'm not ready to have no more kids. I'm not ready to have no more kids. 'Cause I with my daughter, like people don't know my daughter is 34 years old.
But we can't just blame all those women. Nick knows because he said his own father wasn't in his life, I believe, or maybe he wasn't as active. And Nick has to know you can't raise children by FaceTime. These babies need help with their homework. He
Well,
don't even know all those
that
babies' middle
too,
names.
but the
Too many
woman
of
got
them.
to take responsibility too. The woman
Yes,
got
but
to
it's a
take
joint venture. But
responsibility too
because
because
he has
you
more,
already know he got kids.
but he
But
has
you know what? Let me
more.
let me let me throw this out there, right? Sometimes people prey on the weak, right? And I'm not saying that these women are all weak. I don't know them personally, right? But if you know somebody's self-esteem is low, you know that they're weak, you know that they fall victim to you. You could, if you as a person, you could be like, you know what, I'm not even going to exercise this option. I know where they're at, right? So he knows that he can bounce around between these women. To me, I think they should be in therapy because to me, your self-esteem has got to be gutter low. If you caught me the first time, okay, that's all right. Okay, I got caught, right? Shame on you. But you ain't gonna catch me the second time around. I'm not about to have baby number two, three, four with you when I know you're bouncing around, and I don't want to raise my kid in that nonsense. Okay,
Yeah.
that I
Hmm.
chose your daddy on purpose, knowing that he was bouncing around between 4 and 5 women and just leaving his seed everywhere. There's no way in the world he has time for all of these kids because listen, I got one and I barely got time because once they start you a taxi, can they get a apple? Can they get an orange? They hungry? Can you take them over to this place, that place, or whatever? And as a human being, you do need a moment for yourself. The way
Yes.
his life is set up right now, there's no way he can have a moment for himself because he works 7 jobs. And I'm exaggerating. I don't know how many he got, but you know what I'm saying. And then you're trying to. All these women don't even live in the same state.
Yeah.
So you want to
Honey,
keep saying you're a good daddy. What is his definition of a good daddy? Because you have money?
do you remember that song? It's a very old, so really dating myself. There's an old song called "Cats in the Cradle." Cat in the Cradle,
I
and
don't remember it.
it's this young man. This is from this perspective of this man, and he was talking about how he never really interacted with his father while he was growing up because his father was always working. But from his father's perspective, he was being the provider, made sure he had everything and whatnot. So from his father's perspective, he felt he was doing the best. And then when the father got older and he saw his son repeating the same thing, the father
Mm,
said, "Son, please don't repeat the same mistakes that I did." Okay. Now,
mm,
that being said, that is how men are taught to be men in this country. They are taught to be a good father. It's all about provision, 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 and nothing about allowing that nurturing side that a father does possess as well, and the importance of that quality time. There's
yeah,
that, and there's the fact that, let's just be real, in Nick Cannon's case, you can very easily see that these women, this is a financial transaction. He came in, has a whole lot of money. He pays for their place. He pays for this. He pays for that. And they bear a child. It is a financial transaction. And if
Thank
we're
you.
going to be pro
That's why
choice,
I be
y'all,
saying.
we got to allow for these women that are making that choice.
mm,
Okay.
mm.
We got to allow for it
But
all. We
you
can't
know,
Wait,
have
wait,
nothing but
let me,
that.
hold on, guys. Let me add this because Paulette makes an excellent point. We
Yes.
should also stop shaming young girls for getting pregnant. For some people, that shame leads them to look for termination. We need to
Yes.
support each other no matter the choice. Well,
Yes.
amen, Paulette. Let me
Yes.
tell y'all this quick story. Paulette, thank you for this statement here. Thank you for writing this. You are correct. It's slut shaming because it's like, okay, they want to call them they're fast. I don't know what term they use now, but when I was growing up, they said, oh, she's fast, right? Because
or
she
she
got
hot.
pregnant, because she's having sex, because she's around the boys, they want to call her fast. So all of this is shaming them. So then the ultimate shame is if you happen to get pregnant, they put it all on the female back. Nobody looks at the boy that impregnated her. Okay, they're just looking at her. She's fast. She's 15 and pregnant. And then they want to tell your whole story. Like that's the way you're going to keep having is kids and kids and kids and kids. And then normally with those young girls, what happens is every boy that comes in their life afterwards, they're using them. And they already feel some type of shame and not worthy. So they're just getting what them that get sex out of them and they don't really care about them. I'm glad you mentioned that. And let me tell you a quick story because listen, I go to church. I love church. I love God. I love the Bible. And I am not perfect. But let me tell you this. So when I got pregnant, I was 35. And I had my son and I was not married, but I was very active in the church, right? And they almost like several leaders and stuff had to speak to the pastor. They almost didn't want to baptize my son during the service because
Mm.
I was unwed this is true. And listen, I was 35 at the time. So again, it goes to what Paulette is saying that, when they know your sin, so to speak, and I'm gonna just use that word for speaking purposes, right? When they know your sin, so to speak, like you pregnant, you're not married, or whatever the case may be, you get shamed. But if you're sitting out there and you're in the pulpit and nobody knows that you had 3, 4, 5, 6 abortions, and you're single with no kids, then all is good. That's the girl to be with. That's the girl to marry. It's a whole lot that we could talk about with these conversations. But anybody want to add?
Let me
Yes,
just say
because
this right here.
when, oh, go
Go
ahead.
ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, really quick, because I know you wanted to jump in. That's true, but if you notice, there is a decline in a lot of the younger people, and I'll say for me, because I'm a millennial, in going to the church, and we have been turned off from church because I'll speak for me. My mother was not appreciated in church, and she became a pastor, and I had a Baptist upbringing. But I will tell you, because she went to New Birth, and I remember that thing coming out with Eddie Long. Listen, these men get to have all of the indiscretions they want and the
Yep.
sins in which they choose. But if you discard women and you shame women and you make us feel worthless for what we do, which pales in comparison to what the male leaders are doing, when you try to use those scriptures to hold or nail our asses to the wall, that is why we're
Yeah.
numb to it. Because I'm numb to it. I don't want to hear any scriptures because if you're not living by that, you don't preach to me. My spiritual connection, that's a personal relationship. God is right in my heart whenever I decide I want to talk to him. And that's not something that anyone else can measure. But I was going to bring that up about church. And I know that I saw some comments earlier in the chat about the LGBT, and I think they had that same argument as far as shaming them for, their sexual practices. But then wanting them to come and sing in the choir, wanting them to, you get what I'm saying, to pay tithes. I mean, you can't have it both ways. If
Right.
I'm no
Right.
good, my
Right.
money's no good.
Yeah,
Yes.
but
Yes.
I mean,
What we gonna do here? What we gonna do here?
this is what I mean. I not fully understand because like most of the young girls say, well, what can you say about that? Because you just taught. You definitely taught when you was growing up. You supposed to have a baby within a marriage.
100%. And listen, I'm not. Let me tell you something. Just because I had my situation, I would never want any of. I don't want my son to do it. I don't want my niece. I don't want nobody to do it, to go through it the way I did, right? But all I'm saying is, listen, we all fall short. And because we fall short, you don't got to shame us and make us feel worse than we already feel.
Yeah,
And then, like Paulette said, I love that she mentioned that, so you kind of make this person feel like they should go do XYZ so they won't be shamed and outcast and be a thrown
yeah,
away, so to speak. So let me just, Oval said, but when some of them get on welfare, now we got to pay, not them. Well, see, here's the thing with social services, I really could care less. Listen, there's always going to be people that will abuse the system, right?
yeah,
I'm not going to change a law and change my life because of the abusers, the people that abuse the system, right? The government uses money in so many areas that I don't like.
Come
So
on.
I'm not going to sit here and be mad at the money that goes towards social services because listen, in my mind, we get taxed too darn much anyway.
Right.
So they use taxes for a lot of things that I don't like, but I'm not going to stop and say, oh, my tax money and they're using up my money. My money have gotten used for worse. So if my money is being used for an innocent baby that is in this world, and unfortunately their parent doesn't want to do any better but stay on the system, then whatever. And let me tell you this. This is another true story. Listen, my mother at one point, my mother was a single parent. Okay. At one point, my mother was a recipient of social services. I'm talking back in the day when now they give you an EBT card, like a debit card, right? I'm
hmm
talking back in the day when they had food stamps that was in the actual book, and you ripped the food stamps out and you went to the
Same
store. And
did.
again, that was about shaming the people, right? Because you would be on the line in the supermarket and you got to sit there and rip out the food stamps. So now everybody knows you're on social services. So I do appreciate the fact now that they have these EBT cards. Michelle, thank you so much for the super chat. We must all vote in November. Women's rights, voting rights, and our democracy at stake. I agree with you. I agree with
Just
you.
right on. But
I'm sorry I jumped in there. Anybody want to add?
Yes.
okay,
Go ahead.
go ahead, go ahead.
Sorry, I know you and I keep doing that. I love you though. I do want to
No,
say, um, the and this is something because I'm interested in getting into politics. Do you know that these senators and these representatives make almost $200,000 a year, or up to? almost $200,000 a year, and they only work half the year. Okay, and you keep up all of this nonsense going on. The way I read Val's comment, though, because this is something that has been plaguing me for a moment, also. Single people with no children are taxed the most, and that's just a fact. And
Yes,
so
it is.
when Trump was in office and he's giving tax cuts to the wealthy, well, wait a minute, that has to come from somewhere. And so you're overtaxing the middle class, or what used to be that, and that's shrinking and getting smaller and smaller, because what used to be poverty. I mean, even $20 is really paycheck to paycheck if you want to keep it 100,
Hmm.
because everything has gone up: gas, rent, groceries. I mean, you cannot sustain yourself. They're making it impossible to sustain yourself as a single one, or a single, I don't even want to just say single woman, a single person. You cannot sustain yourself. And so when we talk about making it harder, for women to have contraceptives or to get an abortion, if that's what they elect to do, then we're talking about where we're going to get the resources from. I believe I'm not opposed to anybody getting food stamps. I wish I could get some. I don't qualify, but I wish I could. I am not opposed to anyone. No, really, I'm not opposed to anybody getting Section 8, because if they need it,
Right.
then and that is just, they're entitled to that. And contrary to popular belief, it's more white people on food stamps and Section 8 than it is black people. So we need to
But
call
they
a
don't
thing a
show
thing.
that though.
Huh?
They don't show that. They
Oh,
show
that's
the
true.
black people on food stamps and welfare, and that's what I really do believe, because baby, they use more. Because I think it's a while back. It's around like several years back. They caught this couple, and they was living in like a $600,000 house, and they was collecting food stamps. And
But
I was
wait,
like,
yet,
what?
yet,
They went to
wait,
jail.
hold on 1 second. Yet said that reminds me of the situation with Kim Burrell and Frank Ocean and her ignorant comments. What did she say?
I don't remember that one.
I don't know this situation. I did drop the link again in case anybody wants to come up. Everyone in Congress and the Senate are millionaires, even if they didn't come to DC as a millionaire. You know what? The whole system, there's a lot wrong with the system, right? Um, and we know that. But again, and like you said, these people get to work a limited amount of time and get a maximum benefit, and then you have others who are working 2 and 3 jobs and still are barely making things happen. Gas right now is insane. Food right now is insane. And it's like a double-edged sword. Like it's like what gives? Like what do you want? What do you want to happen? And here's the other thing, right? They tell you the American dream is you go to college, okay? And when you come out, you're going to get this fabulous job, and that's how you elevate yourself. And they preach that to people in the inner city and low income, that the way out of poverty is to go to school. But then they charge you three, four, $500,000, and I probably exaggerate, but you get what I'm saying. So then they go to school and they try to follow the rules, right? The American dream. So they go to school and then they come out and they got hundreds of thousands of dollars in student loans and no job and no way to pay it. It's a vicious, nasty cycle. It's
And
the
can't
lies. It's the
and can't
lies.
and can't get higher in their field. I know lots of girls who I went to college with and still am in school with, who can't get jobs with their economics degree. You get what I'm saying? You end up in a
Yep.
job that you didn't even go to school for, just so you can survive and sustain yourself. And I want to go back because somebody mentioned, I think that was Lisa. We are trained to have children after we get married, and that is something true. Me growing up in having a Baptist upbringing, I was definitely taught that. But in my modern way of thinking, I am one of those women who do not aspire to get married, and I do not aspire to get married because I feel that it's a control. Listen, I want to be in love, but I want to still maintain my freedom. And there are so many people who I know personally who have gone through divorce, and the man has made their life hell. And me personally, when I'm ready to leave, I'm ready to pack up and leave. And I don't want to discuss it. Just bounce.
Amen.
I don't want
Amen.
to change. I don't want to change my name. I don't want to do all that. We can be in love. We can have a. We. I don't even want to mix finances with you. I want to keep everything
You know what?
separate.
That was
But see,
me.
you know what? Again, it's a choice, right? It's
Yeah.
your decision, and why should you be looked upon a certain way? Because that's the decision and the choice you want to make, right? And I think that's what this whole bigger picture is about. Let us have our options. Let us make our own choices and our decisions, and don't use different things to shame us and, like you said, pin us against the wall about our decisions. Okay, so I don't want to get married. And that should be okay. And listen, so they talk about the grocery prices. And this is the thing with the groceries, right? With this no more plastic bags and no more bags. So it's like, again, you're putting more stress on the average person, right? So now we got to go to the grocery store. We got to remember to bring bags. If we don't remember to bring bags, they're going to charge us for a bag. And then on top of that, now we got to pack our own bags. I want a W-2 from ShopRite, Target, Macy's, all of these places where now I got to pack my own bags. Literally, I went to Walmart and the woman behind me, I left so much stuff like in the area, because she was like, this is yours, this is yours, because I'm not used to packing my own bags. It's just nonsense right now. And so y'all don't want plastic bags, so or whatever, so find some other type of bag that is acceptable. Put those in the store, stop charging us, and knock off the nonsense, because y'all still sell plastic ziploc bags and everything else. It's so full of crap. I'm over it.
Where y'all?
They
That's what
want,
they doing to y'all. See over here, where we have a little less whatever regulations, if you
Uh-huh.
will. They still packing my bags, baby. I don't.
They sure
No, and I ain't
do.
bringing them nay a bag. The only place I bring bags to is Costco, so that I don't have to finagle them big old boxes into my
Right.
trunk. I bring my
well,
Oh, well, you
Walmart,
plastic bags
lucky
See,
there.
but
because
right now, Rama, you want to pack your bag. I'm stores I know you gotta pack your bag is over here. Is Alice. Alice, is that what
well,
it?
y'all are lucky.
You
Well,
cause you gotta
well,
pay
no,
10
because
cents. You gotta pay 10 cents a bag. You gotta
I
pay
ain't got to
10
pay
cents
for
just a
nothing.
bag.
Not
but,
only at
Because of
Aldi's,
that,
baby.
or you these little
No.
but
boxes they have, that
but
they put
even in
those
Walmart.
boxes up there.
But even in Walmart, they don't have the cashiers anymore. And in Atlanta and around Georgia, they promote the self checkout. They'll have two people standing there, but they want you to scan and bag your own stuff. And see, then they get mad when you scan 8 tomatoes and you done got a TV and some new shoes and some new bras and some
I
bags.
do. I that's why I had to go to the self checkout line at Walmart. You know, I go through checkout line. I ain't got time to be waiting on that line, and I just go through the checkout line, and it just self checkout line. It's easier. You do what you do. I'm not. That's okay, baby. I pack my own
Well,
bag.
no, I'm
wait,
like
wait,
Diva.
wait.
Give me a W-2. I don't want to bag my
Give
own
me
stuff.
a W-2, because now I'm working. Now I'm working, right? So wait. Val said, "Give us all EBT cards." I like
Yes,
stamps
And
too.
stuff. They should they remodeled. See, they remodeled the one over here by me, the Walmart over by me, honey. They put an extra self out checkout. They they took that. You say round about six or like round about 6 or 12 check line checkers now,
Hmm.
cashiers now. But other than that, rest on both sides of that is they have doubled it.
Yeah.
well, in
Wait, let
Dunwoody,
me
it's
let me
about
add this.
20.
Let me add this to the conversation. 1 minute. So, someone suggested earlier. Oh, so Mo said that, to get certificates. Like in my area, though, some of those certificate schools are very expensive. Okay, for the people to go to for just a couple of months. But I do agree that, and I'm not against it, guys. You need to get something, but I think they just need to. They need to give a more help with people trying to get a certificate and try to better themselves. There are some states that literally, if you live in a state, you can go to like the community college or the university for free. We need more of that.
But please make sure that the schools are accredited because I saw where they were doing that student loan forgiveness. And so I brushed to see which schools were there because I'm trying to see if I got $10,000 off. And then it wasn't. It was schools like DeVry and some other schools that may have had some type of issues. But if you went to like a HBCU or a standard university, there was no loan forgiveness for you.
No.
So,
I
um,
saw that.
No.
I saw that. Is that not messy? Is that
Yeah.
not messy? And I
Yeah,
think because they were saying like a lot with those derived those particular schools, they were really ripping the people off. For the amount of money that they was charging and all of that. But my thing is again, why not just go ahead if you're giving a break, just give a break across the board.
that's right.
Everybody
You
that
know,
still has
Hello, ma'am.
everybody that still
Hello,
has student
ma'am.
loans, you get $10,000 off. That's it. And if all you owe is 10, then lucky you.
Hello, ma'am.
She was
We
speaking
still
against
Beautiful
here.
ladies, I have
homosexuality.
to get. I need to get to the store here. Speaking of steaks, otherwise
Yes,
my household is
yes,
going
yes,
to a
yes.
cabinet
Listen,
if I don't get to the
listen.
grocery
I
store.
love you, girl. Thanks for
I love you.
stopping
Thank
by.
you so
I
much.
love
And
you,
I
heart.
See you later,
yes,
heart.
Thank
You have
you.
yes.
a
Love
good day.
y'all.
So she was speaking against homosexuality, then was saying on one of Frank Ocean's songs. But you see, you know what? People speak out of the side of their mouth. And see, I have the ability, because like I said, I go to church. I have no problem with the church because the thing is, because people want to interpret things wrong, or because there are some wrongdoers, I'm not going to allow that to remove me away from what I believe in, right? But
Mm-hmm.
so it's like she's speaking against homosexuality, but it's like again, if the Bible and God says love everybody, then why are we gonna then separate? Like that's the confusion there, right?
Yeah.
Either we
That's
gonna
his
love
last
everybody or we
command.
not.
That's his last command. That's Jesus' last command. He said, I give you one more commandment. He said, love. He said that. So, and that's why I try to do love. That's why I call myself Love Belisa, because I try to love everybody. Because I'm not surprised, like I be telling everybody else, I'm not surprised nothing that man ever done because ain't new nothing under this sun coming up. Ain't nothing new. The stuff happening nowadays, it happened 25 years ago. And stuff
Yeah.
happened 25 years ago, it happened 80 some years ago before that. Okay? Ain't nothing new under the sun. So people need to start acting like they brand new. You was probably born at nighttime, but you was not born last night, okay?
But it's new to the Generation Z people, and that's why we have to get these older politicians out of office. 60 years is too long. It's just
Yeah, I
too
think
long.
so too.
That's
I
what
Let
I'm
think
some
so
talking
new
about.
too.
blood
Just
in
like
there.
Colonel Thompson, they got a lifetime position. You should not
We need
have
to
that job
change
for a
that.
lifetime.
We do need to change that. And I'm going to tell you why. It's similar to like these teachers that had tenure, right? So they were good teachers all the way up until they got their tenure. And because they feel like they never going to lose their job, they just begin to act a fool and not do the right thing. It's this issue that some people have with unions, right? It's like, okay, you're going to have a worker that's going to act a fool, but because they're part of a union and the union is always trying to save them, they begin not to do the right thing. I do think, and I'm only going to use Clarence Thomas as an example. I do think that he does a lot of foolery because he knows, like, where am I going to go? What's going to happen? And it's like when you're in a position where you're supposed to care about the people, and you start to no longer care about the people, that's problematic, right? So how
Hmm.
you going to be a police and you're supposed to serve and protect, but then you're not going to serve and protect? How you going to be a nurse, but then you say you're afraid of blood? Like, what are we doing here? How you going to be a teacher, but you won't want to teach? And I think to your point, E, it's like these teachers need to be paid more,
Yeah.
period. I know teachers that work a second job just to get supplies for their students. What make that make sense? Why are we allowed? Like, that just doesn't make sense that a teacher should have to go work another job just to not even for themselves, but to get supplies for their students. It's like, come on. Now, I don't know if y'all remember um the Facebook guy, right? He donated, I want to say, with some crazy amount of number. It was high millions. I think it was double digit millions to the Newark, New Jersey school system. Now I can't say firsthand, but a lot of people want to know, where did the money go?
Hmm.
Where
And
did the money go?
I want, because this is my vision for education going forward. I plan on homeschooling my child because there's
Mhm.
too many regulations on what they want children to know. You don't want them to know about Black history, that's all, because you don't want the white children to feel bad about themselves. We don't want to talk about homosexuality. Listen, I want my child to, the most important thing for me, that me preparing to be a mom, is the best thing I can do for my child is to teach them how to think critically and to push back, even if they disagree with me. But having your own mind and being able to challenge things and articulate your point, to me, that is in that that's you can't put a price on that, and that's not something I would trust with the school system that we have right now. Kids need to know the truth and they need to know the history, and we can't whitewash everything and pretend certain things didn't happen, and we can't spare feelings. We have to stop that. It's not, we have to get away from this time where everybody gets a medal just for participating. No,
Right.
you only
Right.
should be rewarded if you excel and if you are excellent, because this is why generations have gone down and gotten lazier. And this is why the pushback has gotten lazier and people are becoming more complicit. No, you don't get an A for effort. You get the grade that you earn.
Right.
Yeah.
Or how do you correct the behavior if we don't, right? So
Yeah.
it's like, you're setting your kid up for failure. Are you setting a person up for failure when you want to reward mediocre or failure, right? You got to keep
Hmm.
it real with the person because listen, if you don't tell them, somebody else will eventually, they will.
I
They'll be
mean,
like,
that's.
listen,
I mean, that's.
I,
I mean,
go ahead.
that's why I be telling everybody. I mean, cause me and my neighbors had this talk one time before, and flipping on all this stuff on here. I said, well, tell you the truth, I can understand what the white man is doing because they are so used to going in and getting a job. They normally go into a corporate. They used to run by. I said run about 30, 40 years ago.
Hmm.
They 40, even 40, 50 years ago in 70s. They used to come out of college, be at the get the lower level job at the corporation, and they normally going to get that job. But now that they have competition, they
They
have
have competition.
they have
Let me,
competition. They have competition from the Latin man, the African man, the Asian man, and
Mm.
who got really who over some of them even overqualified for a job, but they got their job now. And
yeah. Let me just
I was
add this,
saying about that.
Lisa. Let me
I
add
was
this. So Miss Gigi said teachers in South Carolina have to spread their salary out in order to get paid during the summer. My brothers do. That's a lot of schools. That's a lot of schools. They have a
That's
system
ridiculous.
where, yeah, no, they have a system where literally you can get more taken out of your pay. Hey, Corey, what's up?
hey
You
Corey,
can get more taken out of your pay during the year so that the 2 months you're off in the summer, you will actually get paid. And some of them, they do that, and then some of them also agree to do summer school. But I think overall, period, we need to pay teachers more. And listen, I don't have nothing against a basketball player, an NFL player, all of that, but this is what we put importance on, right? We put importance where we're going to pay a basketball player millions of dollars to shoot a hoop, but we don't even want to pay a teacher $100,000 a year. What is the problem? And,
the
and,
Come
and they got
on.
our kids,
amen.
they're teaching the future. They're teaching future doctors, lawyers, hairdressers, whatever, right? They're teaching the future, and they have our children a major portion of the day, and we can't give them more money. That just doesn't make any sense. And then you have these teachers now that unfortunately they almost gotta be protected too, because a lot of them are losing their lives in these schools.
And yes, and it's not just the teachers that need more. I feel like as a public servant, we need to, if we are truly going to be a country of values and being pro-life, then our resources need to be allocated as such. Because
Yes.
not only that, the nurses need to be paid more. They're on the front lines. When I went to Emory to go see my OB, I spent more time with the student, the trainer, the nurse than I did with the doctor. Come on, we're paying more people, and the same thing with our police officers, the good ones that we have. The people who are in Congress and Senate, I can't say it enough, their salaries, and even the governors, the mayors, the salary needs to be reduced because these people are already getting kickbacks. Like someone mentioned earlier, these people are well off. They're not regular people like us. They are millionaires. We need to take that money and we need to put it where we need it, which is in our inner cities and with the people who are impacting the future. And the last thing I wanted to say was Oh shoot, it just escaped me. Um, the last thing I was going to say, it was going to be to um, it escaped me. But yes, the resources, we have to put it where it belongs. And I know I was going to get into that basketball player thing. No, we are putting more emphasis on entertainment
Yeah.
and patriarchy than we are into our children, their education, and women.
That's why
Yeah.
that's why I keep saying y'all tell me y'all worry about these fetuses. You not worrying about that baby. Stop saying that because you not worrying about that baby. If you worrying about that baby, you need to worry about the children that is living, honey. That's what we need to worry about. These little bitty babies who right here, who mother who cannot afford to take care of them. That's the children we need to worry about, not the babies
Yeah.
who's in the mother womb and fetus and stuff. Okay, and I understand. I mean that's what we need to worry about now. The kids who are here,
Well, you
not
know what
the
though,
kids.
Lisa, with my thing is you can be concerned about the unborn child. I don't have a problem with that, right? But your concern shouldn't start at conception. Your concern should start way before that, before I even think about having sex with somebody, before I even begin to, get into that particular situation. So you educate me ahead of time. You
Yeah.
let me know that as a single mother, especially a young one that is not educated about the struggles that I'm going to go through. You also, because what they don't do either is they don't tell you the aftermath of having this termination of pregnancy, right? Um,
Hmm.
Sure.
there's an aftermath to it, right?
Yeah.
And although you may not think about it because you don't, subconsciously, something is going on. It changes you as a person, and these doctors need to do more education. But instead, because it was allowed to be done, they just did it as a factory. Because a lot of people, they're in professions for the wrong reason, and then they start to just think about the money, right? It's like, whatever, I'll see you next Tuesday. We're gonna do this, and we're gonna get the money. You understand?
I mean, but
So
that was
go
playing.
ahead.
But that was what they call playing hood. I may be saying it
Yeah,
wrong.
parent parenthood. I
Yeah,
mean,
they
plans to parenthood.
they be trying because believe me, I've been there. Like I said, I wish I can get to the store, but I can't. You know what I'm saying? Tell the store, but I can't because it's not my store. It's part of my store, but it's not my store though.
Right.
And that what they do. They try their best not to get you to terminate the baby. They really do. I know the ones that
Some
I
of
went
them.
to, they really do. They ask how you. I know when I was sitting in the room, they ask. Um, uh, is it? Do you want any help? Do you have any help and stuff? And they went through all the stuff. So you know what I'm saying about contraceptives and stuff and all of that. So there's sometimes they, that's why I say there's certain organizations out there, and I've been to the free clinic. Free clinic do the same thing too. They give you the options and stuff. That's why I say we need sexual education in these schools.
But they
Because
don't want sex education.
I said some parents, I'm just saying some parents can't talk their children about sex because it's like, oh, okay, we got to this now, okay, oh, okay, we get to this. So some parents just can't do it. I
I
want
have
to
one of those
It takes
moms.
it takes it takes a it takes a village, right, Lisa? So hold on, Amy J. I just added you to the conversation. Chime in. What would you like to talk about?
I'm just stepping in. I don't know what's going on. What are we talking about? Contraception? Or are we talking about the abortion, the act?
We're talking about the whole gamut of things, right? Because here's the thing, the law is going to be a trickle effect. They act as if it was just as simple as, oh, we're overturning it, we're pushing it back to the states. The states are going to make the decision. But what we discussed was that there's a trickle effect, right? And I don't think I threw this into the conversation yet, but it's really going to impact for a lot the low people that don't have the finances, the poor people, so to speak. Because if I'm in a state that doesn't do it and I find myself in that situation and that's what I want to do, I can simply book a flight or get to the next state and get it done, right?
Exactly.
But if I don't have the money, that's not even going to be part of my options. So we're kind of talking about a gamut of things. So what do you want to chime in at?
I mean, the only thing I want to chime in is the criminalization of a woman's body, them criminalizing, because some states have already said if a woman wants to leave and get the abortion or order the abortion pill, they can be arrested and convicted and put in jail. That
Mm-hmm.
not be the response for a woman wanting to do something with her body. It's one thing that it's outlawed. The states no longer want the government, the federal government included in legislating the abortion. But I feel like more states need to put more funding into contraceptives, because there are people. It shouldn't be a thing just because you're rich, you're only one allowed to have sex. And the reality
Right.
of the situation
Right.
is, rich people tend to have plenty of more slip ups, and they don't have to deal with the consequences like a poor young girl. And when I did work, well, I got education. I would say I worked, but I did get education from a couple of agencies about the reality of abortion. Some people are in situations where the men know they want to leave. It's an act of violence. They get the girl pregnant over and over again, and she's running into the hospital like, "Help me." Sometimes the person physically sick, they take the medications or the contraceptives, and they get sick and they can't take it. Not everyone is. Because I had a girlfriend, she did the patch. It kept falling off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
Um,
forgot about the patch. Yep. The patch. Yeah.
she did the patch, she kept falling off. She did the little ring that was inside, it kept falling off. And then she had the shot that made her extremely sick. And she tried to do the IUD, but the husband didn't like it because he felt it. So she just kept getting pregnant. And it got to a point that she went ahead and just got her tubes tied, because in her situation, her husband was he was doing it on purpose. He wanted to keep her pregnant because he knew she wanted to get out of the house. So there's a lot
Mm-hmm.
of situations where women are at risk and their bodies are being controlled, and having the right to go get something to protect yourself shouldn't be criminalized, because there are
Right.
people who are definitely dealing with way more than we know. And it's sad
Right.
to say that, for me, I was told keep your legs closed if you don't want to get pregnant, and I followed that rule. But I had people, you know, people that didn't do that and they got pregnant. I hate to say it, I've taken friends to the clinic. I hate to say it, and I did not that I wanted to do that, but there
Right.
are situations where the men were beating the hell out of them. So
Right.
I'm gonna be stick with a guy who does that. So it's more than one reason why somebody would do it. I'm
100%.
I'm more on the side of contraception. I don't like the act of abortion. I really don't.
Mm-hmm.
It,
Yeah.
it makes me feel sad that someone have to take something out of their body. I'm one of those people that like use condoms. I want you to get the pill and all the rest of that stuff, or just sustain. But some people can't do that. But I think this is an attack on poor women. They're gonna criminalize you. You can get put in jail for bad parenting. Some people knew they didn't want the kids.
Well, I can't put no more chemicals. I refuse to put any more chemicals into my body. And I have to say, when you just said that that man was impregnating that woman on purpose, oh, that's frightening to me. That's frightening to me.
Oh, it
And
happened.
his ass needs to be in jail.
It does.
You,
It
you cannot
happens
do
all
that
the
to
time.
me.
Yeah, this person, she went on and got a master's degree, and she's actually a nurse practitioner. But during that time, she was working from her home, doing childcare. She was trying everything possible to stop being the baby maker, but she couldn't do that. And when she got pregnant, she got extremely sick. So it was a lot of stuff. It was a lot.
Robin, hold on, guys. Hold on, guys. Robin, you gotta unmute your whatever else you have open. I added you to the stream. And I want to say this, Amy J, to kind of tag on. Hi, Curves. I'm glad you stopped by. If you want to come up, everyone, I did drop the link again.
Hi,
Just so
Kurt.
everybody knows.
Hi, Corey.
Okay.
I
So
sent
no,
the hate off
that's
in
okay,
it.
Lisa. So to speak to your point there, right? There are so many situations that a woman can get into, and we kind of mentioned this earlier, where they're always the one that's left holding the responsibility, so to speak, right? So the responsibility will always 100% fall on that woman, but the man can walk away. The man can do whatever he wants. And we, as the female, we're the ones that put in all these chemicals in our body. And then later on, we find out, well, this one causes cancer. Or This one does
Exactly.
that, or this one does that. Now, let me tell you something else about the devil shot. And the reason why I know a lot about it is because I took it for years, years. But the other thing with the devil shot is they actually use that same shot in prisons, in jails, so that men would not want to, have sexual desires. So
Mm.
if you're using this same shot to do that to men, what the heck is it doing to the female in our body? It's just it's sad that the most of the contraceptives are geared towards the female, and again alleviating the male of any responsibility in this act that takes two.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, that's true. I mean, that's true. I mean, I've been lucky. I'm not gonna say I looking. I ain't gonna tell you no honey. One time I was out there, child. I've
Yeah.
been lucky.
Okay. So
I was
so
lucky.
so
I was lucky that I only came up with one child, and I am blessed to have that one child. And you could never pay me nothing nowadays. I need a baby like I need some holes in my head, and I got
yeah.
no holes in my head. Okay.
So wait a minute, Lisa. Let me
I
add
gave you.
Robin
I
to
take
the
the Morena. I
conversation.
take the Morena. Uh, I take.
What, Lisa, Lisa, hold on one second. Let me just add Robin to the conversation. Robin, what did you want to chime in about?
Good afternoon, ladies. I wanted to chime in about a lot, but I'm going to edit myself. I do want to
Okay.
say the gentleman who spoke earlier. I didn't hear his name, but I was so happy to hear him say that we need to put to bed the term pro-life, because I
Mm-hmm.
agree that. I mean, listen. I remember as a kid, my mom used to, before Roe v. maybe around when Roe v. Wade came out. When it was a hotter, but when it was in its origin state, my mom
Mm-hmm.
commented, this is not what I planned to say, but I remember it stuck with me because I was so young. We were watching the news, and she said, look at that shit. And she was actually commenting on protesters. She said, not one person that you see right now who's protesting can have a baby. It was all these old white men and women protesting against abortion. But that's not what I want to say. What I want to say is a lot of us are in an uproar over this Supreme Court decision, and rightfully so. But I also want to caution us to really take a moment and understand that this has been part of a sustained campaign that the right has engaged. I also want to say that, yeah, we know based on what Clarence Thomas said that they're going after more things, more rights that we have come to know. I'm
Yep.
going to take us back to the Shelby v. Holder case,
Mm.
where the Supreme Court nullified Section 5 of the Voting Rights Act.
Mm.
Because they did that, the Section 5 said that you have to have a pre-clearance if you're going to change anything about the voting process, including the places where you where you have to hold your polling places. Folks don't know that some place like Brooklyn, New York was under Section 5. It was a big deal. So when they say you don't have to talk to us, you can just do whatever you want willy nilly. That opened the floodgates for Georgia saying if you're in line for 10 hours, somebody can't give you a free cup of water.
Mm.
We
Mm.
our rights are slowly but surely being eroded. The people who are out there protesting now, I'm just shaking my head because what I know, and I have had a life in politics in New York City of all places, and what I know is that there is a model that has been in place for a long time where people um, come to elected offices at the very basic and local levels. They start with the school boards, the city council, and they build power. It used to be seen as just a mere stepping stone, but I
Mm-hmm.
believe in recent years, especially on the right, they use it not just it's not just a stepping stone; it's a stepping stone with nefarious purposes.
Yeah. Let me
So,
just read this comment from Adrian. She said one area I haven't heard is so many had illegal abortions and could no longer have babies. Well, see, and that's another, there's so many avenues to this conversation, right? Because that's
mhm.
another thing too. Even legal ones where afterwards there were women that could no longer have babies because of the way their procedure was done.
Right.
It, it,
Mm.
it, it's it's about protecting the woman for me, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
it's about let's protect the female. Let's not shame the female. And then maybe people won't feel like, okay, this is what I never I this is an option for me. Like I gotta do this or else, XYZ. The most shamed female is one a female that has more than one or two baby fathers. That's like the ultimate shame. And I don't get it. It's like, okay, but at least I have my kids.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why are you
Yeah,
shaming me?
it's gonna be that that
Like
browbeating of you're
Claudine.
not a good person because you have all these kids, or you're not a good person because you're not the best parent to these kids. I don't know if you all remember. I
Like
still remember this, where this woman was trying to go to a job interview and she left her kids in the car with the window down, and everyone sat there and was like, it took that for people to see that women who have children by them, they need help. And everyone was like,
mm,
oh, but I would just remember people say, oh, what kind of mother? What kind of mother? She's trying to get a job to take care of her babies. And people were still like on the fence about her trying to figure things out by herself. She got nobody
It's
want
not
to do it.
it's
What
not
wasn't she
easy.
arrested or something? I don't remember them being on the fence. I think that she was prosecuted or arrested
Yeah, but it
because
took
she did.
people to say, no, this isn't right. She's trying to get a job. Y'all sit there and say
Hmm.
she has to be a good mother, but she has to go out to work. She had no one to
Right.
help with her
what them
children.
talking about? So she didn't have nobody to take care of them, so she brought them to the job interview with them, gave them some food, and while they let the window look him. I'll be
And
waiting
see,
at
you know what social services is a double-edged sword, right? So you
Mm,
get on social services, right? But when you try to get off and you get a piece of a job, they want to cut everything off. Well,
mm.
I don't make enough on this piece of job for you to cut everything off. Um, and it's just it's a lot of revamping that needs to be done. But Curves, I want to add you to the conversation. You just joined.
Okay.
Thank you for joining.
Hey,
Oh,
girl.
hey.
Hi,
How's it going,
girl.
y'all? Hey, Lisa. Hey, Diva.
Hey,
No talking about it. That's because we are stirred. Let these
yeah,
men keep trying to come for us. Let them keep trying to come for us. Why
yeah.
are they doing that? I still feel very confident of that a uterus strike will help. I still feel, I mean, it will help. If we keep our legs closed to all men, not just the married ones, then maybe they'll think twice about trying to be governing our bodies and what we have rights to. Because last night it got brought up over when we were over on inspiration about what does it say in the Bible about this.
oh,
So of course I Googled it. And the Bible says nothing in any of the many translations about abortion specifically. As a matter of fact, there's only one Mosaic law that even mentions anything about losing a baby. And it's basically says that the miscarriage is there's nothing to, it's not, you didn't lose a life. But if a man makes a woman lose the baby that's in her, still nothing happens. But if the man makes the baby and the woman die, then he should die too. And just like in the Bible, it only says things about if you kill another person. And the Bible is not kid friendly. The Bible is not pro life. There are many instances in the Bible where he's doing stuff to babies, where the babies are getting it, the kids are getting it. I mean, passage after passage about not respecting little baby lives. So for any of these Christians out here screaming that, oh, it's in the Bible, oh, it's this, oh, it's that, well, you need to recheck your Bible because it's not kid friendly. And
Mm,
it doesn't say anything specifically about a woman taking the life of an unborn fetus. As a matter of fact, the fetus is not mentioned, unborn baby is not mentioned. So we need to, like, when people are trying to say that it's because they're Christian, because they're moral. I mean, those two things they really have to examine because
mm,
the basis of morality in a country that was founded on murder, death, kill, and now you're trying to act like you're the moral police. Well,
mm.
you got to get out of here with that. And the basis of using religion, oh, I'm a born again Christian. Oh, I'm a Catholic. Oh, I'm this. Well, there's no place in any of the writings that you subscribe to that says that what a woman is doing is wrong.
Well, let me add this. Tarrant Destroyer said Planned Parenthood commercialized the use of fetal tissue. That is true. They
That's
use fetal
disgusting.
tissue from the abortions. And listen, I'll give the pushback, so to speak, to your conversation curves is that, one of the commandments is thou shalt not kill, right? But we would have to say to ourselves, then it's a kind of a word play on how do we feel, when this life is formed.
Right.
And,
Yeah,
I'm
that's
not,
what I've heard.
yeah, yeah.
Like
I
witness
don't really want
acceptance.
to go down that path because I don't want to, go back and forth with people, different people believe about their religion. I don't like it. I'm not saying that I'm so in agreement with, this happening, because there's a lot else that, psychologically goes on when a woman has to do that,
Right.
right?
Right.
Right.
So I'm not really, it's not, I'm really more about the option and the choice, right?
Uh-huh.
And that you as
Yeah.
an individual, listen, I got my own transgressions that I need to talk about when I meet my maker.
Right.
Yeah.
But
Yes,
I'm not here to police your transgressions and to
Exactly.
shame you for your transgressions and to tell you
yeah.
and shake my finger at you saying, no, 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 you're dead wrong and you're lower than dirt.
Right.
That is how they make people depressed. That is how you're pinning somebody up against the wall. And again, my thing is, if you're going to put this in place, then you better put a higher responsibility on these men that are laying down with the female.
So
Yes.
deal.
It's not the second coming of
That's
Jesus. This
how I
is this
feel. That's
baby
how I
didn't just
feel
appear
too.
in their body out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
that's how I feel too. That like I'm not saying like I said once before. I've been there, been in the room, everything. But I tell everybody, and I say never again. But my thing of this taking a woman wipes away her choice.
Her
Make
choice.
that choice because that's
Mhm.
not an easy choice on a woman.
Right. It's
Mhm.
Or
not. Right.
even the parent of the child. Even the parent of the child. It's not easy. For
Right.
Mm.
you to sit there and
I've
make that
never been in this situation, but I can say that's a very difficult situation to thing to make.
Right.
Period.
It's one of
and
the
Right.
hardest
and I'm
Right.
decisions.
and
I
So
I'm
mean,
wait,
we
let me
say
just add this. Wait one second. Miss Gigi said, which we have seen in our time. There was a famous football player that did it, right?
Yes.
Yep, cheating men
Preach.
have tried to kill women who got pregnant. That
yeah.
would be on the rise. A whole lot of shenanigans will be
Right.
on the rise.
Yes. This right
Ye-
here is more than anything is dangerous. They are
Yes, it
Oh,
is.
it's
willing. When a
crazy.
Yes,
woman
it
comes
is.
and tells them I'm pregnant, they start plotting your death.
Yep,
Uh-huh.
yep,
With the children. That's
That's
crazy.
what
yeah.
I'm talking about. These men, man, I don't know why them men up there, especially the Republicans, man, they got more mistress than anybody. Knowing them, knowing how they always think
So
on this
wait,
stupid
so
shit.
Lisa, 1 second. So Moon Made in 77 said, you have the right to not have sex if you don't want a child. That easy. Well, Moon, here's the thing. I wish it was that easy for these teenagers. I wish it was that easy for a lot of people. So
Yeah.
if it was that easy, we probably wouldn't even be having this conversation.
Right.
Um, so
Mhm.
and then we
Exactly.
even if we leave out the amount of people that get violated, amount of incest in this world, the amount of children that get touched by a family member,
Right.
by a neighbor, they didn't want to have sex, but they was forced into it. And then for a lot of people, I want to say Oprah talked about it, how once she got touched by someone that she, family member, whoever, and she didn't want to, once she was touched, she became very promiscuous. She
Yeah.
became very, like,
Like
she started to
activists.
use sex as her answer to figure out life.
Right.
So everyone is not introduced to sex on their own terms.
Mhm.
Everybody is not just this bad person that decided to lay down, have sex, and not be responsible. Life is not that black and white. Life is not that simple. There are so many people that their life was changed as a result of someone violating them.
Yeah.
Or
So,
even more so, you're making sex something for people who are rich because a lot of people who don't have money shouldn't be taken out of something that's natural.
right,
Like like you're saying, oh, if you can't make take care of them, don't do it. We're all human.
Right.
right,
This
Like
is
you
so
might
right,
have
natural.
from so that's basically saying that everybody who's poor, you're cut out from having sex. You have sex, you get a baby. That's your. No, that's not
Well, and
fair. This makes no
statistically
sense.
speaking, poor people seem to have a lot more sex as an escapism kind of thing, and that's probably why there's a whole lot more babies running around ghettos. Is because you try to escape the ghetto by going and feeling good having sex.
Yeah.
It could be right. So now again with Moon, incest abortions is less than 1%. Well, where they getting the statistics from?
Yeah,
Okay, because I know plenty of people that they did not tell who the father of the child was because it was a cousin, uncle, brother, this, that, and the other, and they didn't want the world to know because the family was more concerned about covering up for their cousin that they didn't want to go to jail. So that
Right.
percentage means nothing to me. I don't even think it's right. But thank you for being here. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
One other thing I wanted to touch on was it's scary when you think about all the other. We talked about what are they coming for next, but what have they already come for? Because just a month ago, we were talking about in Tennessee how they were rewriting the laws to be able to marry 12-year-olds instead of just 17-year-olds. Out here in
Mhm.
California, we have laws going into effect where if you're a minor attracted and it's within 10 years of age range, so like if you're 24 and you want to date a 14-year-old kind of age range, 10 years, within
Mm.
10 years of the age, they should have a right to pursue that a romantic relationship with that person. So they're already setting the groundwork to make it lawful to engage in relationship with what we consider minors, and now they're taking away the right
Children.
to abortion and a woman's right to choose. So I'm like, my mind is going crazy, y'all. I can come up with some ideas. Are they going to be having little baby camps where they are like impregnating youngsters on purpose and taking away their rights because they've already laid the groundwork to make it legal to engage in a
Exactly.
relationship?
They're trying to
And see,
create
that's
an
what they trying to do. They
underclass.
kind of take us back, baby doll. They trying to get, and I like Miss Bernice Gusson has said, self control. I like the you put that back. Whatever she just said. Yeah, getting weight and getting pregnant. That's self control. Cause you get weight, that's not no self
Okay,
control.
Lisa, we can't say that word, but yeah,
I'm my
the
fault, my
R
fault, my
word,
fault,
the
my fault.
R
Oh, my
word.
fault.
But
I
but
was
but
reading.
there's so many caveats to this, right? And so my thing is, we depend on when these people are voted in, right? And everybody's saying go vote, and I agree with that wholeheartedly. I vote all the time, but sometimes the people that you have to choose from, they're both bottom of the barrel. It's like you're choosing the best out of the worst.
Or they're
Mm-hmm.
Um,
full on liars,
Right,
full on
right.
liars just lighting.
And sometimes the people you choosing from, they say anything when they campaigning, and
Oh,
then they get in there and everything they claimed they was going to do and how they were going to help you, it never comes true.
oh,
They
so
they
kind
don't
of
they
like
don't
how
do
most ladies get pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
it.
Man, be saying they're gonna do everything. They promise you the world. They all the stuff. So you open your legs willingly because you were basically under a verbal agreement or contract with said man because he implied or actually
That explicitly.
provided some type of exchange that made you feel like this was a safe place for you to do this, and then come to find out all you did was get talked out your panties and he had
Yeah,
Yeah.
a
yes,
family.
that part, that
You know
part
what I
right
mean?
there.
And that's what these politicians do to us too. These politicians are talking us out of our votes because
Yeah,
they
yeah.
promise us the sun, moon, and the stars. They promise us police reform and a look at reparations, and then we get told to shut up and wait and send $1 billion to Ukraine. I mean, okay,
Don't get that
I'm
Now,
started.
now,
sorry.
Don't
now,
start it.
let me add this to the conversation. Do y'all remember this? Now, this was sad.
I
This,
remember
this
this
to
one.
me opens the door to more shenanigans, right? Remember the man, and it was Lacey Peterson was the wife's name. Remember the wife was pregnant. She disappeared, but we all know what ended up happening to her, and we all know who did it. Because he was in a whole nother relationship with another
He
chick.
did. And listen, Lacey did it right. Was she not married? Did
Yeah.
she not trust her husband?
Yep.
And here she is getting pregnant by her husband. And he's planning her death to get with another woman.
Right. Right.
But that
And wait,
happened. That
let
just
me
happened. That just happened. When I go to the man, he killed the two children and the wife, and she was pregnant with the new with
Yeah.
with
a
another
third
one.
baby.
It's just not right. Um, So Moon Maiden, yes, I get it. You know what? I'm not. Here's the thing. Let me tell you this. I'm connecting with you. I'm not saying where the act of this situation it is it's horrific, right? It is. I'm not saying that this should be the answer, but I'm saying it should be an option. There should always be options. And no matter what we do, I don't care what law you put in place. If I'm a person that is going to do something, I'm going to do it whether you have a law in place or not. I said that earlier. I don't know what part of the conversation you came in at, but I pretty much said that laws don't stop people that are going to do what they want to do. If it did, the jails would be empty, and they're not. They're packed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they're packed. So a place in the law is not the answer. Education is part of the answer, right?
Mm-hmm.
um Making sure we speak to people, making sure that we go back to this village mindset, making sure that when they are options, that the options are available to all regardless of their economical level.
And
Okay.
I heard to say this: no, sex is not the answer because sex is natural.
Yes, it
It's
is. Thank you.
human.
Yeah.
People
Yes,
who
it
are
is.
having sex are not deviants. They're
Yes, thank
normal.
you. Thank you. Yes,
I
you
need
you
people to stop saying close your legs and then you'll be fine. They are
right.
being normal. Sanctuary
Yes,
life.
it's meant for us to be in relationship with each other. It's meant for us to have the human touch. It's meant for us to love each other and feel each other that way. Listen, we was born with no clothes on. It's okay to have your clothes off and do a little something with somebody every now and then.
And that's what I'm
Okay?
talking about. It's not like say it's I mean this way this and I don't mean no harm to 7-7. Love you, baby. Love you to the bottom of my heart. But I disagree with you. Just like you say, you have your opinion, I have mine. But I'm just saying, like, baby, it is human nature to be like that, okay? And I understand what you say. I understand what you are saying. Believe me, we are here with it. We not saying that it's not a bad thing. It is a treacherous thing to have an abortion. But my thing of, and I keep saying this over and over again, I don't want nobody to tell me what I cannot do with my body. It is my choice. It's my choice. It's my vagina. Because I have to sit there and make the decision. I have to raise that child. Y'all talking about, y'all always talking about the social services and all this right here, and y'all want to be, but who gonna take care of this baby? Who gonna help me
Wait,
take care of this baby? Nobody.
Lisa. Yeah, Lisa, let me add this 1 second. Lisa, you know what, Moon? I appreciate you putting in your opinion. I really do.
I don't
And you said
disagree with
I
her. I
don't.
just
Yeah, but she said I don't relate to casual sex like others, to each his own, but it's easy to abstain. It's easy to abstain for you, right?
yeah.
Listen, I call myself, to be honest with you, I call myself a born again virgin. Um, you know what I'm saying? Because I haven't, done whatever in a long time. But that doesn't mean. But see, again, to me, that doesn't mean like I'm not looking down on someone else. You understand? Like,
Mhm.
I like my monogamous relationships. I like it to be just me and the other person. And unfortunately for me, a lot of people they play games now. It's a shame when you meet somebody, you gotta ask them, do you have a girlfriend? Is there anybody out there that thinks you are their boyfriend? Are you married? Like you have to ask so many. It's just ridiculous. It's like you want the truth here because it's not just even just about getting pregnant, right? For a lot of people, it's about the STDs and all of that that's out there, right? And no, I don't think you're looking down on anyone. I think that everybody has a different level of self-control. I think everybody likes to express themselves sexually on different levels. I don't know. Who wants to chime in?
No, I get what the person's saying. I understand that, but I think your fuel for fire has everything to do with religiosity. But at the end of the day, for me, I
Hmm.
see it differently. There are people in marriages that cannot sustain. There are people who have illnesses. There are people who are in very violent situations,
Yeah,
and then on top of that, it's natural. Here I am. I just turned. I'm 40, and I don't. I'm sustained, but that's the choice I made.
right.
I'm not going to sit there and tell a 22-year-old couple don't do that. And I'm not gonna sit there and tell the man to go kill his wife because he can't control that he's in love with another woman. It's just a lot of reasons why this can become dangerous. And your religiosity is leading you, but then you're leaving out the gray areas that
Right,
causes people to say, look, we need to rethink this thing because you're
right.
criminalizing women. You're criminalizing women. There are
That part
people,
right there.
that's the
That part
danger
right
in it
there.
all. You're
Yeah.
criminalizing it. Because if you get an abortion in these states now, or you go do backdoor, you can go to jail.
Oh yeah.
And that's like it's too many reasons why a woman can wind up having to get an abortion. It has nothing to do with her just not keeping her legs closed to marry men.
Right. I
There's a
no
major
100%. Yes, yeah. There's a lot of gray areas. 100% on what you just said, Curves. Right. And here's the other thing too. Remember, they finally had to make that law that if you had a baby, and you didn't want to keep the baby, like physically had the baby, you can just drop it off at the doorstep, no questions asked, right? Because a lot of these girls, they were hiding the pregnancy from their parents, then they would have the baby, and then after the fact they would do something to the baby. Do you know what I'm trying to say? They were throwing the babies in garbage cans, stuff
yes.
like that. And they had to make that law that said, I can't think of the name of it right now. There's a name for that law.
Safe,
Um,
safe haven,
Something like that, right?
something
Where,
like that. Yeah.
yep, no questions asked. You drop this baby off at the doorstep in front of the hospital, and we ain't gonna question you because the baby is here and the baby's alive and we're good.
Some
So
schools and
the, the,
firehouses.
the
Well,
thing is, we need more of that. We need more of that.
I'm gonna tell you this, and this is the honest to God truth.
Uh-huh.
Baby, and I was sitting in the room with my mama, and I believe the doctor said I was pregnant, and I said, duh, 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 no, I'm sorry, going on my head and stuff. And I was just like blown apart, right? My head was everywhere. But she took me to the clinic, and they told her I was 8 months. That was on December. Listen now, that was on December the 6th. That woman told my mom. They told my mom I was gonna be due on January the 10th. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
I was 8 months to my mama found it because I was still receiving my cycle.
Mm.
Oh.
Mm.
And girl, let me tell you, hey now, just imagine we didn't find out because I went through all the steps. I planned on getting her up for adoption. That was my plan. That was my main thing, getting her up for adoption. But my mom was in the womb when I gave birth. And my mom was going back talking to the hospital social worker and everybody who was involved. She said, I don't know if I can let her give it up now because I'm so
Oh,
girl, next thing I know, girl, please, me and my mom and me and my daughter walking out the hospital.
Mm.
And even after that, my sister had came home like a day after I came home.
Mm.
Girl, she took the baby. She said, my daughter, I can't open up the door. I can't open up the door for my sister. And she said, what is that in there? I said, your niece in there. She said, my daughter crying. She said, it's okay. Auntie coming. Auntie coming. So
Mhm.
she was the first grandbaby. And then, like I said, love her. Love my child. Love my child.
yeah,
But
yeah.
that ain't hurt. I'm sorry. And I ain't, and I always, when she got older, I was thinking about having some more kids, but it's just like no right now. So I understand. Oh, believe me, being a mother, me being a young mother, I understand all those stuff everybody's talking about. Being responsible, being having self control. I understand what moon 7 7 time have some self control, and you do. And I wish we need to teach this to our girls. We need
But
to
let me just say this too, Lisa. Some people, once they start having sex and the feeling they get from that, because it's a gamut of things that happen, right? But some of them just can't turn back. Some of them can't. But
Mm.
let me say what Eugene wrote here, and this is really good. If people stay out of other people's bedrooms, well, come on now. It will cut out a large portion of the world's problems. And I 100% agree.
Oh, agree.
The only time I need to step into your household if it's some violence or some other type of situation going on in there. Other than that, it ain't none of my business. Have
Mhm.
fun. I'm gonna mind my
Mhm.
business and you please mind yours.
That's
And
why I
Lisa,
say,
yes, you always share, Lisa. And again, many people are saying this. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing. Because what people got to understand is that everyone who utilizes the option or utilized it in the past, they wasn't just bad people that just was like, oh, this is what I'm going to go do, right? I'm sticking with what Paulette said earlier, and I'm sure some other people have said this too, that stop shaming the people, and maybe they would feel more comfortable when they get themselves in a particular situation to go ahead and have the baby.
Mhm. My only issue I have is criminalization of women's bodies. I
Right.
understand someone saying I've been pro-life. I don't think you should kill your baby, blah blah. But I don't get them saying now that we have this rule, we can now lock you up. We can now publicly shame you. We can
Right.
Yep.
ruin your life in a way that you can't regain stability to take care of yourself and that child that you all are so all trying to protect.
Right.
So
This
that's
is just
my issue.
we're just living in reverse right now. Think about it.
Hmm.
Women are now seen more as property. You're talking about criminalization, but we're back to seeing women as property, where somebody, the men, can say and have say over what we do with our own bodies. We can go back to slavery. I won't, but I'll just let you have the visual. And what we just are really going backward. Period. And it's for the sake of the folks who are about to be in the minority in the country, seeking every bit of control that they can by any means necessary.
Right. Right.
Yeah, yeah. Listen, when I was speaking to my girlfriend earlier, she was like, right now is this, the next thing we got to go sit on the back of the bus again.
Mhm.
Then the next thing they're segregating the schools again. And then the next thing we, like you said, just going backwards. Like, where does it end? Especially since Clarence Thomas said, we're going to right some other wrongs. Wrong by whose account?
He needs to go.
yeah,
And
Wrong by
the
whose
truth is,
account?
the
yeah, because
truth
they
is
kind
we're
of,
already back there. You talk about we're going to go back to segregated schools. We have never not been. We do have the 1954 decision in Brown v. Board of Education, but trust and believe, we still have a very segregated school system. I
Mhm.
live in New York City. I went to high school on East 68th Street. There were
Hmm.
exactly three white people, and I'm in your age range, so that was a minute ago. When I first graduated from college, my first job, interestingly, was in that same neighborhood. I worked at the not one of my first jobs. I worked at Sloan Kettering, and I remember distinctly saying, "Oh, this is where all the white people are." It was a very very weird thing. We do live in a very segregated society still.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
I think I heard yesterday on Sherelle's channel people were talking about the poor versus that we're going to be a
Class.
society of the rich and poor.
Right.
We
Hmm.
are a society of the rich and the poor. There is no such thing. You're either too poor for rich or too rich for poor. There is no middle. So
Yeah,
you're we
yeah,
have poor
yeah.
And you need a middle class to balance out the
I just
country.
hope I'm actually in this very odd state now, because I do politics a lot, and with everything that's going on, I've recently, in the last few days, I have gone through a range of emotions, those that are associated with death and dying, and I've really been. Tuesday, I was crying watching those January 6th hearings, watching those women, the black women, talk about what happened to them as poll workers, and
Mhm.
for the first time ever in my life, I felt like there was I didn't feel like any kind of fight that I would put up would make a difference. And that's something that I never thought I would say because I'm a fighter.
Mhm.
Plus, I do that. But I'm really concerned. And what I have said today is making me, I've sat with myself and I've looked at what's happening. And, and by the way, and that all the uproar and all this protesting folks are doing, it is what it is. The Supreme Court doesn't care what you think
like,
at
like,
all.
like I said
Yeah,
before,
let me just stick to let me tag on to something you just said. See, you know what? everything is kind of set up to do what they wanted to do, whoever they are, right? So if
Mm-hmm.
you the school system is set up where if you live in a certain neighborhood, you have to go to PS 45 when you go to elementary school, and you have to go to XYZ high school because it's within your school zone, right?
Zone.
And if you get slick and want to use a family member address, again, that's a legal thing, right? You can
Mm-hmm.
go to jail because we know several people that went to jail. I think there was a black woman who I want to say people went
Yes,
to
she did.
uproar because I think they gave her 5 years or something like that
Yep.
because she did not
Her
like the
father's
school
address.
system. Say that again.
She used her father's address for her
Yes, you
child
use her
support.
father's address, right? And she
Mm-hmm.
did not like the school system where she was living. And boom, they got caught and they prosecuted her and she did jail time. I don't know if she's still in jail, right? So
Mm-hmm.
and then the again, because we said a rich poor thing, right? So the only
Mm-hmm.
way around that, if you lived in a neighborhood where you did not like the school, where you could send your kid to Catholic school, but again, you got to have the money to do that. And in Catholic school, it doesn't matter where you live, you can because you're paying your
They'll
kid can
take your
go to
fund.
that school, right? And so normally, if you live in a certain neighborhood, then you probably most likely are going to be living in that neighborhood with people that look just like you. Now,
Absolutely.
when I grew up in the Bronx, everybody that lived in my building and in my neighborhood, for the most part, they looked like me. So with me, but again, it's a money thing, right? With me, I went to a mixture. When my mother had money, I went to Catholic school. When my mother didn't have money, I went to public school. So
Mm-hmm.
I kind of seen both worlds. And when I went to Catholic school, that was the first time I was introduced to seeing other cultures, right? And I'm going to tell you this, there's a benefit to that because when you get to early on interact with other cultures, that's going to be your work world. That's going to be, so to speak, the real world. That's going to be your college world. And so the earlier you get exposed to this, the better off you perhaps may be. I'm not saying it's the end all be all, but I'm saying it is a better way to do it, right?
I,
So and they also wanted they got to have some type of controls in the schools, right? So I really don't know the answer, and even though that's a law that's up now, your right to go to whatever school, but the answer should be that every school should have the should be a good school to send your kid to, right? um
exactly.
it's a mess. It's a
It
mess.
is.
But I personally, my son only ever went to Catholic schools, but it was only more because he had the opportunity to integrate, so to speak, and he knows every single culture. So he turned 16 last year. He's about to turn 17.
Mm.
This kid went to like 32 sweet 16s to the point, and he has one to go to, I think, in 2 weeks. I told him enough. But the only reason why I was okay with letting him go with boys, at least they could wear the same suit over and over. But I
Right.
say all of that to say that he went to so many diverse Sweet 16s. Um, and I'm happy that he knows how to interact with everybody, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
but this shouldn't be, I shouldn't have to spend my money to send them to a Catholic school so that
I can get a good
all of these
education.
things can happen. Right.
Hmm. I
Right.
agree.
Let me
And by the way, Diva, I'm a Bronx girl.
uh
Girl, I listen, I
I
went to
mean, I
Taft
want to
High School.
respond.
That's my old neighborhood.
I
I
mean,
went to,
I
I
know.
lived away.
Quick,
Oh, hold on one second, Lisa.
quick question. Quick question.
I lived on Townsend Avenue.
Oh, I lived on Finley.
Oh, I know that. I know
And
Finley. Oh my
here's
God.
when you wait really quickly, y'all. When you went to Taft, did they have the two sessions? The early session, like they had you had to be at school like 7 in the morning, and then they had the evening session.
No, I don't remember because you know what? I did half and half. So I went to St. Thomas the Aquinas for
Yeah.
ninth and 10th grade.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went to actually, you know what? In part of the 11th grade. And then at that time, then that's when I went to Taft.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
So no, I don't remember that.
Okay. I won't continue with the Negro geography because it goes deep.
The world is so small. They say the world is so small. Y'all probably
You
know
have
them.
no
You
idea because
probably
I'm gonna
know
tell
her.
you. In less than 2 minutes, I could connect with Diva about 10 people. I
Oh
guarantee you
Lord,
that.
have mercy.
Now
I'll
we'll
show
do that on
you
another
while it's
time. We're
good.
talking about
You gotta,
Roe
you know what?
versus Wade.
You gotta hit me up on IG. You gotta hit me up on my IG. So yeah, I experienced both public and Catholic schools. I choose to go to State University School in New York. Yeah, I think there's so many things I think that could be done so that we can all live in better harmony. But I think they could care less about doing it because I think they're good with having the separation of they are the rich and we are the poor, whoever the they and the we are. You understand what I mean?
Mhm.
I think they
Absolutely.
really are. Before we close out, first of all, I want to thank all of y'all. Don't forget to hit the like button. But as we begin to close out, because we're approaching the 2 hour mark here, and I gotta go support somebody at their book signing.
Okay.
Um, but Diva, people with money sending their kids to private school also. No, 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 no. They do, right? They do. But there are certain towns. Now that I live in Jersey, there are certain towns that literally the high school looks like a university campus because the people in those towns got that much money.
Yep.
We could have a whole nother conversation about this. Like really, I did school nursing in some schools, and the school was so big, I got lost. I was like, it's just amazing. Money rules the world. But again, that could be another conversation for us, right? Amy J, what would be your last words and thoughts about this situation?
I just think we need to be more proactive in our government and also fighting. I don't want to see another staged or performative what do you call it? A performative, march or protest. I want to see some real things happening. And I know some people are very upset, but I just cannot get down with that. I really think since they're taking this approach, we need to start doing more for women beyond just charity. States need to start putting money to the side to protect women and not allowing this to be our putting us in jail and putting us in slavery. Because that's where I see this is going, and I'm worried about that part. Other than
Yeah.
no, I'm glad we had this discussion.
And I'm glad you stopped by. My father's people are from Princeton, New Jersey. Yeah, some places value education on all levels. Some places just have the money to put into their schools. Yeah, because see, and let me tell you something about Princeton, New Jersey is just money there. And they changed the name to the hospital. It used to be Princeton. I can't remember the name before. But anyway, they changed the name for the hospital that was in Princeton. It's now Penn University. But can I tell you, when they built that hospital, I love to know that where does these people work? Where did their money come from? There's residents that donated millions of dollars to renovate and build that hospital to the point where it's so state of the art. All the rooms are single, to my knowledge, from what I remember, and literally it's like big 55-inch screen TVs in the room. And you get internet, you get everything on the TV. It's about where the money's at. It's about where the money's at. Because I think even in the poor neighborhoods, we value education. It's just that we don't have the money to put into our schools like that. And like I said, I want to know, because I think Cory Booker was the mayor at the time. Where's the money that Facebook donated to Newark, New Jersey schools? And I didn't see none of the renovations in the schools. But that's me. And they donated millions, double digit millions from Facebook. Where's the money? I heard it went into buildings and people pockets, but I could be wrong.
They
Thank
won't
you,
be. Well,
thank you, Amy J. So, Robin, how would you like to close this out?
I'm laughing because on the money front, a couple of things happen. First of all, it doesn't matter how much money you can donate, for example, to the school system in Newark. There's
Mm-hmm.
um, a process in place for capital projects, and it goes through a lot of review and a lot there. It's a very elongated process, so you may not see the impact immediately on the schools that have better facilities and the like. Very different, for example, from New York City to maybe some Rockland County. The taxes that you pay
Yep.
they have a specific tax, and even I know New Jersey is very different in that same respect. So that's one of the things that knocks out the levelness that could be in the playing field. What I'd
Mm.
like to say is I'm glad that I stumbled upon you today, Dee, because I've just been thinking. I was sitting in myself, and I'm happy to be able to share my thoughts with your community here on your page. So thank you. And those things that you said are something for another time. I'm going to help you produce. Can you, when you're looking for something to talk about, let's make a list of those things because I think that they're worthy of discussion. Thank
I
you.
do too. Thank you, Robin, and thanks for stopping by. I'm in New Jersey, y'all. I'm in New Jersey, and yes, maybe future state. I will definitely do a meet and greet. I really enjoy y'all, and I really thank y'all for coming to my page and listening to me and hanging out with me. So thank you for that closeout, Robin. So Curves, what's your closeout, girlfriend? Curves, are you still there?
Yes, there I am. There I am. Okay.
Okay.
So I have some ideas. We can continue discussions. We need to keep talking because all this talking, whether we agree or disagree, is building the unity that we claim is lacking within our collective society, right? So
Mm,
keep these discussions going so that we can, before things happen, have a plan. We need to get these laws
yeah.
codified. We need to get things codified. As it turns out, we had 50 years to get Roe v. Wade codified, ladies, and we were sitting on our laurels, obviously.
Mm,
Happen. And now all of a sudden, everybody wants to rush to get it happen. Well, we have 50 years. We should have taken it more seriously when we had the freedom of choice. You know what I'm saying? Before it got.
yeah.
So let's get things codified in quicker, faster ways. We need to elect real ones. We need to impeach fake ones. Okay. So when
Yeah.
pleased with the people that lied to us and talked us out of our vote, let's start the impeachment process. You lied to HR because people, we the people are HR, and we have
Yeah.
to demand that you perform the way that you told us and led us to believe you were going to perform. So let's get those fakes impeached. We need to make sure that the pro-lifers prove it. If you're pro life, then be about this life for the true living. We need to stop seeing all this homelessness of the kids living under freeways in tents with their parents if you really care about the children. We need to stop
Mhm.
seeing dead black bodies if you really care about the living. We need to really clean up our definitions of what it means to be pro life and really care for the living and stop caring about people that aren't necessarily entirely here yet, thus the fetus. And
Mm,
finally, I think that if overall women take the initiative in our own self and truly protect ourselves in our wombs, ladies, these men don't care about us. It's like working for corporate America on some occasions where you're not even going to get a watch afterwards. So
Child.
to
Child.
is
Okay.
protect
Okay.
ourselves, okay?
Yeah.
We need to protect our womb, protect our light, and protect the ability that God has given us to create. Because that's really what they're hating on is something that we can do that they can't. And that's why they're criminalizing this. And because if men could have babies, it wouldn't be a crime. But because only we can have what bears life, now we're getting punished. So we need to protect that and keep it moving. I appreciate you, Diva, for letting me participate.
Well, I appreciate you for being here, and yes, I do agree. I want to thank everybody. So, lovable Lisa, girlfriend, thank you for stopping by, hanging out with me on the screen here. What's your final words?
My final word is to Moon Maiden 77. I understand you and I like you for sharing your story. I'm sorry the two doctors told you was bearing, and I'm glad you did have your child. Like I'm glad I had my child. But like the woman that said in the comment, have an open mind about it. And you know what I'm saying? Like the woman, I agree with everybody just said. Watch out who you putting in the offices. Go, you got to investigate now who you putting in office, and you just got to be open mind. I'm not telling you that it's not. It's the whole. It's the worst thing, but because I know I've been on both sides. Believe me, I've been on both sides. What I'm saying of it is, it's my right. It's my body. You cannot police like the woman saying told the woman and thing. You cannot police everybody else. You can't police somebody else's body
Yeah.
do that.
Thank you,
I just
Lisa.
want to be pro-choice, and I just
Mhm.
want everybody out there. This is a good conversation us to have, and I got to go investigate. Now I'm kind of investigate how can we get some more things on here so we can raise some more women and sue the United States government, because if we sue the United States government, they're gonna go to the courts. It's gonna change stuff. I just don't want nobody to tell me what I cannot do with my vagina.
Right, right. So I'm gonna say I'm gonna close out with this and say, I'm gonna be honest. I never thought it was gonna happen. So I was a little laid back about the situation too. Because when people would talk to me about it, I was like, girl, they ain't gonna overturn that. So I'm now, I'm not going to be so laid back about situations, right? Because I really felt that way. But I'm gonna be honest with you too. When there was rumors that they was going to put us on lockdown during the pandemic, again, I ain't gonna lie to you. I was like, girl, they ain't gonna lock us down. Like, just get out of here with that. They not. And when they did, I was in total and complete shock. So I got to do a wake up call for myself, and because when something, you know what they say, where there's smoke, there's fire. Now I'm
Mhm.
going to say to myself, when I hear something, there's some smoke, so let me pay attention before the fire comes, and this, we're going to get the extinguisher, and it's going to be too late. So I love you guys. I got to get to this book signing so my
Get,
girlfriend won't kill me.
get to
And
the book
I'll
signing.
post
Get
a
to the
picture
book
of the book that I'm
signing.
gonna
I
get.
see
I
y'all
got a
at the
friend,
cremated
yeah,
out.
I got a friend, I got a friend who wrote a book. So I got to get to the Barnes and Noble before the event is over. But I love you guys. Thank you so much. A very
Bye
important
bye.
conversation. We will definitely have more. See y'all soon. Bye.
Okay, bye.